two, three, your heart start beating. Your room stays quiet, but inside I'm screaming. Do I feel love? I don't have a clue. Will you love me? 'Cause I love you. Oh, 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 yeah, I love you. Whoa, oh, 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 yeah, I love you. One, two, three, your heart start beating. Your room stays quiet, but inside I'm screaming. Do I feel love? I don't have a clue. Will you love me? 'Cause I love you. thinking, I'm dreaming of what it could have been besides memory. 'Cause I still need you. I've been left astray by the moonlight sleeping. Anonymous light from within your home. You better hold me down. You better hold me down. Sometimes I've been thinking of what to make of me and my memories. Sometimes I've been thinking, I'm dreaming of what it could have been besides memory. 'Cause I still need you.
gentlemen, welcome to the finals of Excellency. Today, World Class Galaxy versus the mighty CGC. Listen, I was told to talk about the upcoming finals, but I only have one thing to say. FBI, open up!
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute honor and pleasure to be able to introduce to you tonight the Heavy League Season 1 Finals. This is the championship. This is the last chance these teams have to play and prove themselves in the Excellency Heavy League. I'm Jake Kelton, joined by Paul tonight. We have ourselves the world-class Galaxy team who is playing up against, let's make sure we get the name completely correct, the Collegiate Gaming Club at the University of Illinois at Chicago. It's a mouthful. We'll stick with CGC. Paul, tell me how hype you are tonight.
I am so stoked for this, right? We've seen these teams separately throughout the season. We haven't seen them play each other since regular season, but both of their runs through playoffs so far, Jake, have been nothing short of impressive, and now we get this awesome clash of titans, the sort of immovable object meets unstoppable force sort of game that like we've kind of dialed up all season for Heavy League, right? Like this is what we've wanted since the beginning, and now tonight we finally get it.
This is it. This is it. And I love your reference to the unstoppable force to the immovable object, right? Because you're talking about in playoffs where these teams have played through playoffs, but they haven't played each other yet. And CGC has been the dominant force all season long. Never lost a single series. If my memory serves me correctly, only lost a single game the entire series. And then nothing but 2-0 after 2-0, quarters and semis. We expected this from them. Well, they didn't play in quarters. They skipped that. They straight over to semis and then 2-0'd in semis. But we expected this out of them because they were the first seed. They're incredibly good. They're super strong. They are the immovable object. They just simply don't move. They're great at literally everything. And then you have the unstoppable force of world-class Galaxy that came into the playoffs, 6th seed. They lost numerous series in the regular season. They really struggled to barely edge their way into playoffs due to other teams' poorer performances, but were able to make into 6th seed. And then 2-0 after 2-0 from quarters, semis, and here they are knocking out the 3rd seed, the 2nd seed. They face off against the 1st seed. They're the unstoppable object. And this is a clash of titans, as you said.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, too, and we were talking about it before we came on, was like, WCG has seen some roster turnover. CGC's just won a whole lot. And so now it's like when you get into a match like this, it's the best of 5 tonight. If you lose that first game, or if you know we see an 0-2 to start, how does the team respond to that? Because that download phase, you know, in the best of 3, it's like, all right, you have one game to download and you got to re-upload quick or you're out. But can a team stomach an 0-2, even a 1-1, and just kind of play patiently? Because I don't think we're going to see any sort of like landslide either way. But it's going to be interesting for me to see how both of these teams sort of cope with the idea of like, hey, we might drop a game or two. We're going to have some rough fights against a really, really strong team. How do we as a team come together and actually push through that?
Well, and the exciting thing is this isn't a best of 3. This is the first time all season long these teams will be playing in a best of 5. So even if they do, technically speaking, get 2-0'd, there is still the chance that the miracle, and this is for either team, the miracle run or the reverse sweep. So as you said, player mental is going to come in massive because you can't just win one game off of a cheese strat, play hard the next game, and you're done. Your evening's over. Time to go home. You have to play consistently multiple games in a row and prove that you are unequivocally the best team in Heavy League. There is no workaround. There is no excuses. This is the time to shine and prove you are the best. So talking about the best, let's run through the players for both teams, make sure we shout out these incredible rosters, and then we can talk a little bit about some specifics while we're still waiting on the pro draft picks and bans to come up, in which we'll be starting here just shortly. On the blue side tonight is going to be World Class Galaxy. They have themselves Opposite XO is the name you're going to see, but it's actually fallen on an alternate account because his main account Might have been a little salty. Got banned from Riot. We're not going to talk about it too much. It's fallen. Okay, it's fallen. Just
we've all been there. We've all been there.
Except for me. I've only had one account ever. Fisher Friends in the jungle. Delun in their mid laner. Where is Osama as their ADC? And I saw huge cheers for him early in the Twitch chat. Love the support coming out for the support himself, PJer. We'll see. Excited to see how he performs tonight.
Yeah, and I'm really stoked to see CGC. We've got Pagoda in the top lane here. We've got Filipino Asian boy rocking the jungle again. We saw some crazy jungle last week. He had a 6-0 and 7 game on Graves in game 1 in their 2-0 last week. I'm Blessed Man in the mid lane, Turtle at ADC, and Ratchet at support. And last week, what was really interesting, Jake, if you go back and look at CGC's game 2, I believe, if you look at the kill feed, it's like 15 to 15 at like the 20-minute mark. It's like a 10K goal difference. It's like, wait a second, who's actually winning this game? Like, you go through.
Right.
It's so crazy what they did in that game 2. And like, sure, you can chalk some of it up to just being sloppy with a gold lead, but like some of the weird, interesting plays of game 2 are what might come back to haunt them tonight. So like, I hope they took a long, hard look at what happened there, that like you have this huge lead and you're still dying versus like game 1 was a steamroll. But just like we mentioned, CGC just really a monster of a team, and there's so many ways they can attack world-class Galaxy here. So I'm really curious to see how this draft's going to end up going for them.
And the thing that I love about CGC specifically is that we talk about how clean they are, how efficient they are. They synergize super well as a team. When it comes to the team fights, they always have a plan. It never feels like they're coming in scrappy and just desperately looking for plays, even when behind, which they very rarely are ever maybe 1,000 goal behind. That's actually the one challenge in this game is, can CGC even be put behind? But they always feel like they're in control and they know what the next step is, where other teams can sometimes get desperate and scrappy and all those things. For me, the big question on CGC's side is, can they continue to maintain the fact that they are farming monsters? They are so good at being able to pick up gold leads just in lanes. You talk about purely out of laning phase, they can come out with a 2K gold lead. As you said, the kills can be completely even and they can still have a massive gold lead just because they're so good at being efficient in grabbing extra money for their teams, which is extra stats, which is extra items. And that's why when the game feels like, when you're looking just basically at stats, this game could still be even. Then there's that one team fight in mid-game, 25 minutes in, and CGC won the whole game. It's over. It's done. They finished it up. That's just how they play, and they're so good. Where WCG, they add extra spice in because they bring dominant, heavy, pushing bot laners that have so much zone control, and they have a dive composition. They're always looking to start scrappy fights. I don't know that in the last week's semifinals, when they played against FSU, I don't think they ever one time did a straight 5v5 fight. It was always scrappy chaos, 3 here, 4 there, 2 there, 3 there, 4 here, all over the place, because that's how they love to play League of Legends. They just love to go in, get dirty, and that could be their detriment, or it could be their success against CGC, who tend to play a little bit more uptight and a little bit more paced, if you will.
And the thing is, too, and we talked about briefly with talking about best of fives, you can't get antsy and, in a game 3 start forcing team fights as we're seeing the draft start up here on the pro draft. Like, you have to play this as a marathon, right? Like, because like you said, they really do well in those 3 and 4 like skirmishes. The second they start team fighting out of control here, game 1, I'm going to be like, is that really what the plan they want to go for? Are they trying to force something, like force an agenda and just kind of tightening up? So really curious to see how that's going to play itself out.
All right, well, we do have the pro draft started, so we'll at least see how that plays out first. Already starting off, WCG taking some blue champs off of the Rift, the Rise, and the Sejuani. Before we get too deep into that, everyone who's watching right now, join us as Excellency staff members and broadcasters. We actually have a very fun opportunity, which I totally grabbed the wrong link. If I can make sure that I grab the correct link for that. We're playing bingo. It's a bingo night here at the Excellency Heavy League Finals. You can actually go to that link right now, generate your own bingo sheet, and play along with us on Discord and see if you can get bingo tonight. I have my sheet. It's posted in the Heavy League chat, which we have just underneath the general chat. And so we'll see who can come out with the bingo over the course of the evening. So keep your eyes out for these things, and we'd love to see if you can do that. But here we go with the picks and bans. Sejuani, Cassiopeia, Shen, Nunu, Syndra all taken off the table. But WCG, don't Ashe first pick start, which is a staple for so many teams in the current meta. Instead, they go for the Caitlyn.
And it's weird that they're going Caitlyn because she's gotten hit pretty tough over those last couple patches, and it certainly hasn't made her like unusable or any sort of like this isn't like an overreaction, Thursday night where it's like, oh, you can't pick Caitlyn anymore. But she's just not the B1 powerhouse that you would have had a guarantee earlier. So I'm kind of surprised to see it. Like, I think they could have afforded to invest in something else here, but they really must. Maybe they've just been practicing around at Caitlyn, and so we'll ultimately see how it plays itself out.
Yeah, it's really interesting, mostly because the Caitlyn allows for a lot of poke and a lot of lane control, which is, again, what WCG loves so much. It's what they played against FSU. They had a Zyra in the bot lane to add extra poke, but it's also very dangerous to show your hand so early when the enemy team then can respond. And so they decide to, CGC, grab the Volibear as well as the Karma. I love the Karma for the extra protection. Basically, Ace in the Hole is probably never going to kill anyone because those shields are always going to be up and available. And they already have a very good speed forward and engage composition into WCG that also likes to do some dive themselves. So CGC is not playing afraid. They're very confident. They're saying, let's go. We got Karma to just have Volibear run straight into your team and go murder people. But they are looking more for those bigger team fights, whereas now you're seeing that Zyra and the Caitlyn pairing come together, which is we want to win the bottom lane.
Yeah, and before we go into WCG, what they just picked, I love the Volley Karma. It's a la game 1 of last week from CGC, where they went Graves Lulu, like just having these abilities to empower a super strong potential hyper carry early game jungler. I really like that. I partially wish they just picked up the Graves. It's weird that Graves got through, and just because it's such a strong champ, not even just because it lends itself so well to what they do. But they're really just piecing together what they ran last week with the Volley Karma Ez. So I really like what CGC is doing. They're staying true to themselves. And to your point, WCG now, on the other hand, I like the Ornn because it allows for a lot of interesting like interplay, because you have CC now with Zyra and you have the Call to Forge God initiation. So you can look for those skirmishes 3-on-3s, but you can also look for these really strong team fights when CGC looks for them, especially early on.
Indeed. So second ban phase coming through, the Kiana as well as Trundle and Fiora being taken off the table. So kind of pinching some of WCG's jungle options because that Ornn most likely is going to be in the top lane. They are not running what they ran last week of the Hecarim into the top lane, which mostly focused on farming and then those dives into the enemy team. They could still decide for WCG to pick up the Lilia in the jungle if they wanted to. Again, bring some of that bit more skirmishing, those sleeps from a mile away opportunities. We'll see if that comes through or not, because it can pair nicely with the Ornn. But to me, they're really lacking a solid damage dealer. They have the open option in the mid lane to still maybe pick up something like a Corki, but I wouldn't mind a really big ape. Oh, look at that. Holy crap, I predicted that. We'll see if they lock it in. That was completely, I was just like, let me just pull out of left field and Corki, yeah, hey, it'd be cool. Maybe I've got the 300 IQ going on tonight. Oriana is locked in for CGC, and if you are playing along with the the bingo, you already can start checking things off. All right, Turtle gets Ezreal. He's already gotten the Ezreal. It's already confirmed he's getting it. Plus, there is a 4-man Shockwave option on there as well. So keep your eyes out for that, as Blessed Man really likes his big Shockwave. So we'll see if that comes through. But the Jarvan is pulled as the jungler, bringing a little more crowd control, and I'm expecting him to gank the bot lane of WCG over and over and over. That's where Fish Our Friends loves to be in every game he plays.
So the interesting thing about the Corki too, and I thought of this early on, the last time I actually casted WCG, Dylan did play Corki, and they're just such a strong team. I mean, you've mentioned how hyper aggressive they like to play. You're literally just giving them 2 ADCs. Now, I have some concerns, I guess, with the J4, because that indicates to me they're looking for just a whole lot of straight on team fights, which is, for me, I see as really CGC's bread and butter, when those WCG can really take skirmishes as they please. But that doesn't make them schmucks at 5-on-5s either. I think that's just going to be really interesting. CGC, this is what we've come to expect from them. Maokai looked great for them last week. We had a 4-3-15 game here on Pagoda to open up in game 1. And so they're going back to what worked. I'm sure they scrimmed the heck out of all of these over the last week, right? So we're seeing both play styles here coming out just as we've seen all season. And it's going to be really cool that, like, because it's real. And Jake, you've probably seen this a bunch too. Teams get too cute. They overthink what they want to do. Both teams just said, yeah, this is what we're really good at. Let's put it up against what you're really good at, and let's see who ultimately wins here.
Yeah, I love that. To me, that says, especially for a game one, that's the type of confidence that you want to have. And it makes sense in best of five, right? You say, let's run what's comfortable, let's run what we know, let's not get too 500 IQ here. Let's just play standard League of Legends, what we're comfortable with, because it's basically this game one is going to be a power test, right? It's how good are we versus how good are you? Because keep in mind as well, for those of you that are new kind of watching and haven't been here this whole season, which you should have because these games are incredible. WCG is a basically new roster. Over the course of the very beginning of the season until now, they have constantly been slowly but surely swapping players out, refining this incredible team that they put the last pieces of this puzzle together right before playoffs and had themselves a dominant team all the way through. So we are getting our first time really seeing this new WCG lineup versus CGC, and now they get to say, hey, you know what? Let's just test ourselves versus you and see how it goes. So this is the most experimental setup you can have, and then it's the response to this, whether win or lose for either team, that's going to get really spicy and exciting in those next picks and bans. The thing I want to focus on in this particular game is the Ornn in the top lane provides a massive amount of scaling to WCG, especially that Caitlyn and Corki, who are just going to be getting those extra items off of the Infinity Edge and the Trinity Force. But for the side of CGC, you have the tank scaling of Maokai and Volibear that should be able to, late game with the Shields of Karma, basically say, hey, yeah, okay, it's nice. You got that extra damage. That feels pretty good. But guess what? We are super tanks ourselves, so you're just going to be beating on us while Ezreal and Orianna poke you down.
I got to ask you this, Jake, because you've seen this whole season, you've gotten to see so much of this play out. How does it feel to be here, right? Because I know Heavy League is something that like we get the privilege to watch every week. We talk about it every week. You know, we even talked about you getting to write up that announcement today. It was like this moment of glory of like, oh, like you open the treasure chest and it's just like, you know, like the holy grail appearing here. What's it like going into game one here with these two teams coming the distance? How does it feel?
Okay, I will tell. I'm so glad you asked that. All right, because this is not scripted at all for any of those that are watching. Paul is just asking me this straight up, and I love it because today, when writing up the announcement, the history that has been built by these teams, and the fact that from a legacy standpoint, one of these teams will go down. I don't care how many years it is. I don't care if Excellency 10 years from now collapses or gets bought out or whatever. There is only ever one Heavy League Season 1 champion. There's only one. One of these teams will be crowned that champion. And so being able to see these teams for over the last 11 weeks build these stories and legacies, and to have this titan of CGC that comes in with sheer confidence. We're 2-0ing everyone. We're going to get to FSU, and we're going to 2-0 them too. Then they're 2-0ing through semifinals. Is just so awesome to see a team not only come in with the confidence, but have the plays to back that up. And then you have WCG, that is the team that constantly rebuilt until they found the magic key that works for them. And as you said, they lifted open that chest and the angels sang out as they figured it out and have now beat the third seed, the second seed, and they're facing off against the first seed. This is the final challenge in the best adventure book you could possibly ever read. And I think that they're ready for it. I think they're hungry for it. I'm excited to see once we're in game how fast and how energetic these teams play. Because for me, I was shaking today. I was legit shaking when writing up that announcement. I'm so hyped for this.
And it's just so cool to see like a whole season come together like this, because there's so many times like teams can fall off, teams fall apart. Like there's just so many things that happen in an amateur scene that getting to see these teams kind of go the distance, even with the retooling, like you said, it wasn't like one day it was one roster, then the next day was another. Like you saw these teams play together and sort of work their way through some of these kinks in the armor, some of the random things that happen, and still power through in a really interesting way. And I want to give credit to a lot of these other teams that we saw throughout the season, because it's not even like when they get these 2-0s and things, these games are still like so immensely competitive that these teams showing up today are complete products to me. Like they are an amalgamation of just some really good players coming together that are now really good teams. And I think it's going to be interesting in game one, as we talked about. It's a best of 5, and like you can overthink things. Neither team has, and so it's going to be interesting to see what adjustments are you making off what you're comfortable with. Because if either side loses, it's like, okay, well, what's your plan B? Like, how much have you thought about your plan B? Because somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. Like, no matter how we chalk it up, one of these great teams has to go back to some sort of drawing board, some sort of, that locker room speech of like, guys, we're down 2-0. how do we pull ourselves up by our bootstraps? And so for me, like, I just love thinking of that angle of all this.
Indeed. Well, we only have a moment to go, a short break before we get into game number 1. We're going to send it off to our casters of Rudude and Diatropa, who have been here the entire season long. Super excited to have them cast. These teams have been forged in the fires of Excellency's Heavy League and have made it to finals. We'll see you on the other side. Have a great game, everyone. Diatropa and Rudude, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome onto the Rift for Game 1 of our Best of 5 this evening. WCG versus CGC as we face down in Heavy League Finals here at Excellency. I am joined by the fabled Rudude. My name is Diatropa, and I could not be more excited to bring you the series tonight.
You know what, neither could I, Diatropa. We've been here from the very beginning, starting out on the analyst desk, getting to bring these guys the 5-game series that they deserve at home. And honestly, we're going to have to do so much credit to these guys because the guys that are playing right now, the top of our Heavy League, right? They got to the final off their own sheer credit, put all the work in through semis, through quarters, through the regular season, and now they get to showcase themselves in a big best-of-5 final. And we're going to have to see how well they play, and I don't know about you, but I'm hoping for big games.
I certainly am, and I don't even think that there's a chance that we're denied them. We talked about the history that they've built themselves up, and the history shows in the Champion Select. If you take nameplates off, you still know what teams are on both sides. The fact that we get I'm Blessed Man's Orianna, Pagoda's Maokai, Turtle's Ezreal, as well as D-Lun's Corki on the map. I've heard wonders about PJ'er's Zyra. There's so many highlight players on their signature champions here today that there's no chance that we get an actionless first even 10 minutes.
Yeah, and you know, we're not even 1 second into the game. I'm looking over at my bingo card, and I've already got 3 checks off. Well, I've got 2 checks, and I'm hoping for a third. All right, I got Turtle gets Ezreal, Filipino Asian boy plays a tank, and with Orianna locked in, you already know there's going to be a 4-man Shockwave at some point. So I'm already stacking those points up, and unfortunately, everybody else is. Didn't get any lines or any combinations in the bingo card, but we live and we learn, and we'll hope through sheer force that I do end up getting some combos going. That being said, though, we are, looking at this game number 1 here with, you talked about it, these sort of franchised picks for these players. And I really like to point out Pagoda on the Maokai, because tanks top lane don't really get much credit, but Pagoda is such a prolific Maokai player, as we see him going in, that, I feel like there's just so much power coming out from a tank pick that other teams just don't have open to themselves.
Yeah, already abusing himself on the level 2 on opposite. Looks like he's going to go for this kill. This might be another unexpected smackdown from Pagoda. Gets him so low, tanks a turret shot, and doesn't end up going for the kill. Now both top laners pretty low here, but I'm fully expecting to check off another box on my bingo card, because one of them is Pagoda gets inexplicably fed. And it always seems to happen whenever he gets his hands on the Maokai. Even last series, we saw him just taking these 20-minute fights 1v3. And this is really a lane that kind of counterintuitively we need to continue taking second and even third looks at.
Yeah, and as is standard with CGC here, what we have to do is the compulsory call check. And this game, I'm a little bit let down, I won't lie to you. We've only got 1 coming out from the side of CGC as starting items. I'm happy to see that it's on the Maokai, though, because if it was on the Ezreal, that might have been a little bit expected, but as we've come to learn from CGC, that you can't really expect anything other than Pagoda to pick up a call on pretty much any champion that he's going to play, to be honest. So I expect Turtle to go back and pick one up at some point. I don't know that I'm blessed, Manuel, so I feel like we're going to be a little bit let down in terms of triple calls, but, Dylan's picked one up for himself, so picking up where CGC have failed.
Yeah, at least for this game. And I think that the Doran's Shield pivot here from Turtle is well merited, because we had mentioned Turtle being on Zyra PJ being on Zyra is one that is a champion that we've really looked out for. And is something that I'd fully expect to be able to take over a lane on. Turtle, knowing that, I think, pays the respect of the Doran's Shield to get him through this laning phase so that he can contribute more later on.
Yeah, for sure. We should address the fact that under no pretenses do Karma Ezreal win this lane, and the fact that Turtle is confident enough to step up and dash like that sort of shows the power that Turtle has in this lane. But Osama, PJ with Caitlyn Zyra are going to be winning out for gank top lane.
Yeah, like kind of an odd gank there, as Filipino Asian Boy completed his path and wanted to back, gets himself a free control ward as opposite returns to the lane and tries to get a cheeky ward in on the side. Unfortunately, not going to work out for him, and gets denied that vision, but should know that Filipino Asian Boy is backing, and that might give Jarvan a chance to get something going.
Yeah, exactly. The slight overlap in terms of when you've recalled and when the enemy jungler recalled, that interrupt actually buys about 10 seconds for Fish or Friends to get out on the map and make things happen. Looks like he's walked up to his top side and probably just going to full clear his way back down, because we know CGC like to fight around these dragons, and there's a statistic that I believe you've researched fully, was the 85% of CGC's kills are initiated around the dragon or something along those lines, and that's just an insane stat as we see a potential gank on top side with Fish Our Friends nearby.
Yeah. Pagoda wants to just go straight in though, can't flash onto opposite, and just gets first blooded under the towers. I even thought that he had it on the bot side though. CGC is already responding in kind. They collapse onto PJ or in the bot side and trade 1-for-1 across the map. That was ridiculously close to being a 2-for-0.
Wow, and this bot lane that I just so highly praised, saying Caitlyn Zyra wins this lane. CGC, Ratchet and Turtle come up huge, managed to pick themselves up a 2 versus 2 kill in this bot lane. Getting that tier picked up on Ezreal already, so he's going to be stacking that one quickly. And the extra 400 gold, or 300 gold rather, going in the pocket of the Karma, so not ideal. But either way, denying the experience onto Zyra, denying the wave and lane priority that they should have had, it's going to be huge for these guys in the bot lane.
Yeah, and Turtle should now be able to run this lane effectively. Has the tier now so that he can sort of shove with impotence, using his Mystic shots, being able to shove this wave all the way into tower, and perhaps even get himself a free recall here against the Caitlyn Zyra that, as you mentioned, we're expecting to be very powerful. And I don't think that's quite gone yet. Whereas Osama and PJ still have a lot of latent power in their pockets, I think it's a matter of really, it's surprising that even with all of that, they managed to give up a kill. There's still the possibility, and I dare say the expectation, that this becomes a pressure point on the map for WCG, even though there is no dragon here anymore.
No, definitely not. I think that the way that Osama and PJ are playing this lane, they are overextending quite considerably just to, play their champions to their effectiveness. This is what you have to do when you pick a Zyra, because you are picking it to win the lane and sort of snowball your AD carry to a stronger position in the mid game than the enemy's AD carry. But with the pushing going through, they have to set up provision down bot side, and that's what's really important, because Filipino Asian Boy is an early game jungler on this Volibear, needs to get things going and make things happen early on. And I expect it to, if bot lane keeps pushing, for something to happen there, but Pagoda's going in top.
Yeah, and that is definitely the story of top lane. Looks like he's setting up for Filipino Asian, but here's the Nature's Grasp, and I don't know if Opposite's going to be able to disengage in time. There's the Volibear straight onto the Ornn, takes down his brother in the top lane, and Fish Our Friends, he arrives, but much too late.
Yeah, and there we go. As we talk about it, the Filipino Asian Boy needs to get things going. This Volibear makes his mark felt up on the top side, and what has been a favourable matchup pretty much throughout the entire lane for Pagoda is finally rewarded with the full engage coming through, the ulti going through, and Pagoda might fall here.
Yeah, has to be really careful. Have the sapling in the brush, though, too slow up Opposite, and may be able to get himself out. Burning the flash that he earned himself earlier now is going to be at that potential flash disadvantage once again, but at least escapes with his life for the time being.
Yeah, so a little bit of an overextension, doesn't respect the TP from Opposite, has to burn the flash, but Fish Our Friends is down in this bot side tri-bush here. Turtle actually is pushed in this wave, so I'll have to see if anything comes from this.
He's going to be spotted, and he might end up going for the flag and drag, but I think that ward in the brush there, I'm not sure what to call it. Is there a name for that pixel brush, or for that brush?
River. I go with River Brush in that one.
All right, the ward in the river brush is going to be just enough. It's weird, because there are a lot of general, what's this called? There are a lot of general brushes in the river, and actually speaking of it, there's another stat that I wanted to bring up, and that is that for the side of WCG, in their own 2-0 that we saw last week...
Oh, Ratchet.
Might actually be Ratchet just caught out under the tower here. Maybe an unexpected tower dive, certainly from me. Not watching the minimap was I, but Fish Our Friends grabs himself another kill and actually ends up at 2-0, and he's the powerhouse in this early game here. Has himself the Cinderhulk completed already, and now should be able to continually enforce his will across the map, like we expect the Jarvan to be able to do early.
Yeah, and short of the 2v2 kill bot lane, this really has been the story of two junglers going around making things happen. Whichever jungler's first to the players pretty much netted a kill, garnered some advantage in some form at least out of it. So wherever Fish Our Friends or Filipino Asian Boy are going to, they're making things happen, and that's what we like to see from junglers. So often you'll see a jungler just sit in a brush, feel presence felt, but other than that, there's not too much to be said or too much to occur in the lane. But this time around, the jungler's really making things happen, and Pagoda and Opposite just going at it.
Yeah, this looks like another battle of the tanks in the top lane. Pagoda actually taking the worst end of this one for now, but he has so much healing in his kit that he might be able to outlash the Brittle. Gonna bait into the sapling here, but doesn't have the same amount of sustain as the Ornn just yet. We might actually see him go down in a solo kill here, but the Searing Charge going to miss into the wall. Means that he feels confident sticking around, gonna get more healing off of the minion there and be able to continue in this lane. And look at this, Filipino Asian Boy, he's roaming up towards the top side.
Has ulti as well. I can feel the dive coming. Pagoda can just push this wave.
He's already gone. We just haven't seen it yet. Flash into the turret, not going to do him too much good. Should be taken down here. Filipino Asian Boy still taking the tower. Might not be able to get out in time, and they trade 1-for-1. WCG towards the top side of the map. Opposite making it happen, absorbing that pressure.
Yeah, and Filipino Asian Boy keeping his flash there. Would have liked to have seen him expend it just to get himself safe and expend or ensure the 1-for-0. Now that he's down, he's going to have a big respawn timer to go through and then have to go back out onto the map. Obviously, with World Class acknowledging the dive top lane, they are going to have access to this Mountain Dragon. And Dia, I want to look at that wall real quickly, because it wouldn't be Heavy League without a Cloud Soul.
It absolutely would not be, and we certainly wouldn't be on cast. We only cast the Cloud Souls. It's shall we call it a contract exclusive for us here. Cloud Soul being up means that we're going to be comfortable casting this game. No unknown values of these Ocean Souls in their healing. We know exactly what we're getting here. We're going to get a lot of fast rotations through the map. And CGC and WCG, the junglers being enabled by these, I think only serves to exacerbate the story that we've already begun to tell through the gameplay of this game.
Yeah, that it is the junglers that are making things happen. And
you there?
See, fight bot.
Yeah, it actually looks like whereas Osama is caught out, despite the fact that PJR gets the root. Now flash under the turret. Filipino Asian boy still has his flash. Oh no, he flashed onto. Oh god, manages to get taken down there. Fish our friends with the counter gank, uses the Cataclysm to lock the Volibear under the tower. No gank no ultimate available means that he doesn't get to deactivate that tower, and it is another 1-for-1 towards the bot side of the map. But Turtle's got to be careful.
Yeah, with the package on Dylan here, Fisher Friends still
Turret's
looking around.
Low. Turtle, he flashes into the tower, but it is not nearly enough. Fish, our friends, follows him. This turret's going to not be long for the world. Ratchet, not long either, and teleport interrupted. I think almost thankfully, as Pagoda certainly teleporting to his doom there if he'd completed it.
Yeah, with 3 members down around him, that wouldn't have been the teleport to go for. But I really like that play from Dylan, actually, with the package being used. We've not really seen too much of these mid laners, but I'm Blessed Man going ham.
Yeah, it looks like PJ should certainly be dead there. Level 7 to the level 10 of the Orianna gets caught out by that shockwave and taken down systematically. I'm Blessed Man. Another signature player on his signature champion is somebody that we can look to make these outplays. But Pagoda looks like he wants to make his own in the top side. Might be able to take down opposite. Call the Forge God comes in and should be another trade. But Pagoda looks like he's going to get out on just enough HP. Potion is ticking and the minions will not do enough. Pagoda walks away with a solo kill.
And it's been a long time coming in the top lane, has that solo kill. It's taken all of Pagoda's mana and about 13 minutes for him to get it, but finally, this Maokai gets the solo kill. Pagoda once again taking down the Ornn here on the top side, 1-3-1-4 opposite. Not having the tank showing that we'd like to see out of him. Obviously has absorbed a lot of pressure and has been the recipient of a couple of ganks, but dying solo when your team are making a play on the other side of the map is not what you want to see. And when all said and done, what looked like a really great play from Dylan and the rest of World Class actually gets traded back on by a few missed positions from PJ and opposite. 2 solo kills in their own right coming out. The Zyra overstepping in front of the Orianna. The Maokai getting a dive on the Ornn. Nets a kill, the kills traded. They do get the first turret gold down in bot lane though, and that's going to feel really good for this Caitlyn because she's got a 15 CS lead and they managed to take down all of the plates as well. Pagoda, you're in trouble.
He's going 1v3 again, and I don't think that there's going to be a chance to save him. There is the teleport coming in from Turtle here. Volibear going to be able to get out, and Pagoda, he is going back in, straight in, but opposite going to be able to take up so much damage. There's no way for Turtle to chew through him, and now going to be chewed through himself. That Caitlyn Gold putting in the work as they get 2-for-0 top lane on WCG.
Yeah, I'm Blessed Man and Ratchet. Neither of them were at the play, so making it a 5 versus 3 in favor of World Class. So they're easily going to be able to take that fight. And as you mentioned, Pagoda going in 1 versus 3 at that point has a Spirit Visage in his inventory, and with the Cloth Armor and Tabbies in terms of Caitlyn resists, is not going to be able to stand up versus the Caitlyn for very long at this stage of the game, certainly. On opposite going in again.
Yeah, Ratchet mispositioning a little bit there, might get taken down, manages to survive in the end, and I'm Blessed Man is really the fed member of this team. We need to see him be able to survive, but Jarvan's hovering around here, and it might just be Orianna going down. Nice flash from I'm Blessed Man. I'm gonna get him out. Shockwave gonna pull Fish Our Friends back in. Fish Our Friends might be looking to be turned into food, gets taken down, shut down for the Orianna, and Dylan gets the kill in return onto I'm Blessed Man.
Yeah, Ori trading the life there of a 600 gold shutdown in return of just her own life. So in terms of monetary value, is definitely favourable for CGC, but something that you have to remember, all this time whilst the Orianna is dead, she is not farming, she's not gaining experience. And you know who is? It's Dylan on this Corki. His signature pick, 2-0-3, hasn't died yet this game, has a couple of kills, few assists to his name. Full Mirror Mana completed, and almost got that Trinity Force as well. I say Mana Immune rather, the Mirror Mana.
And yeah, and I mean, now that he is ticking towards those items in an almost faster, I'm going to say definitely faster fashion than most Corkis that we see at 143S at 16 minutes, 2-0 and 3, as you mentioned, is going to be getting so strong before it really feels like Turtle and Ratchet at least have the items to deal with him. I'm Blessed Man has been able to farm up a decent amount on the bot side of the jungle, but it's going to be a matter of whether they can execute on that when it's so early on in the game and there's already a fight around Dragon.
Yeah, and at this point, CGC are definitely going to have to run away from this. They don't win the fight, and Filipino Asian Boy may be caught.
He doesn't have ult just yet, has to wait for it to tick down, but he's not going to live for long enough. Fish Our Friends with the Cataclysm secures the kill, and Dylan on the hunt for Turtle here is going to be able to zone out of the Dragon Pit. It looks like Pagoda's just fine with this. Opposite is not, though. Charges forward onto I'm Blessed Man, 100-0 very quickly. The Assassin Ornn combined with Dylan manages to take down the Orianna, And, I mean, in the top side, we are trading, but it is a trade down for CGC.
Yeah, this is definitely not a favourable trade for themselves. 2 kills given up. They give up a Drake as well. And look at this damage already from the Corki.
There's no way that Turtle and Ratchet can stand up to Corki, Caitlyn, and Zyra all being grouped up in the same lane. There is no answer to the amount of poke that trifecta brings to the map. And on the top side of the map, I just want to say very quickly, I don't know if Pagoda knows this, but Maokai isn't Jax. But he plays Maokai as if he's playing Jax with his fighting, constantly split-pushing style. I enjoy it, but somebody needs to tell him.
It's fun to watch, but you have to feel like it's probably not the most optimal Maokai strategy. Maokai obviously known for his frontlining capabilities, and you talked about the answer to the poke. Well, the answer to this poke is just hard engage. This is why they need Pagoda with the team, so that they can make a play and start shutting down Osama, start shutting down Dylan, because at the minute, they're untouched in the backline, and they need to start feeling some pressure from the tanks.
Yeah, and I mean, now that Pagoda going to be in the same side lane as Dylan might be able to neutralize the advantage, but Dylan going to be able to get a free lane for himself. Opposite, though, might be being collapsed on. Turtle needs to watch out for the call to Forge Bot. Fish, our friends, could blow him up. A nice ultimate across 2 members, but Dylan has shown up. Filipino Asian boy gonna trade 1 for 1 once again. CGC trading just evenly, and it feels like they are running themselves down all of the lanes, trying to get kills where they can, and WCG responding appropriately, have managed to keep this game even and actually find themselves a 2k gold lead. Now Turtle in a lot of trouble against Trinity Force and I'm going to make sure I get it right, Manamune Corki.
Exactly, and with all of these plays being made, you know, when you're behind, getting even trades is actually more beneficial to you, just in terms of the way the gold values work. It's obviously going to be more beneficial to you if you can get even trades. In that situation as well, they also get a bot lane tier 1 turret, this split pushing Maokai, yielding even more fruit, essentially, getting more gold for his team as well with another outer turret bot lane. So that's actually a net trade in favour of CGC. They also got a teleport out of Dylan so that the split push potential from the Corki is severely mitigated as we reach nearly that 20-minute mark. Teleport not going to be available for another 2-3 minutes, and the side laning, if he wants to go bot lane to answer the Maokai or answer the Ori, then they're not going to be able to do so safely with Baron on the table.
Yeah, and being able to teleport up a lot of hard engage could actually be the answer here as we crush that 20-minute mark. Something that I had kind of thought about as a storyline going into this game was WCG, when we watched their series last week, it feels like are really good at pulling the trigger on fights around their level spikes, right? When we see things like the signature Skarner for Fish, our friends, hit that level 6, it is all about forcing fights around those marks. Whereas Osama, early levels, they play around him. But CGC are the team that don't necessarily play for the level spikes, they play for the map spikes. They wait for WCG or whoever their opposition is to miss position and punish them on a macro level. As it looks like Turtle, he's going to get punished himself. Face checks a brush there. They need to get vision into the jungle, but there's no safe way to do it with the amount of damage that WCG have at this point.
Yeah, not yet at least. This is where they're going to need Filipino Asian Boy and Pagoda to start stepping up to make these vision plays possible, because I've been there as support numerous times. You know, I'll play the Karma, I'll run around, I'm trying to get vision for my team, I can see Baron's cleared out. You just have to try and walk into the jungle, and without that front line there, you are just going to get blown up very quickly. Zyra, Caitlyn, all deadly to face check. Not to mention the Cataclysm that is available for Fish, our friends, as well, if they're trying to contest the vision. There's a lot of things to catch you out. But with that said, though, you know, we have to remember that this is CGC we're talking about. No matter the disadvantage, they always seem to find the miracle team fight, find a miracle way back into the game. And it comes down to, as you say, playing the map better, recognizing advantages that they have. And we might see another one right here. Pagoda going in top and Dylan caught on a brush.
This is actually brilliant, because with this pick, they either get the kill onto Corki or they force the teleport out of Ornn. And it looks like it's going to be the kill onto Corki, as Ornn shows no sign of leaving the side lane where he is. Turtle going to grab that shutdown for himself. No way out. And that could just be the Baron call here. They might even get both miniature objectives on the map in the Corki and the teleport. Teleport going to be channeled right now. We'll see if CGC want to take the fight, and Pagoda's positioning like he wants to. Nature's Grasp going to hold everybody in place for just a little while. Zyra ult, though, in response, going to be absolutely massive, splitting up all of CGC. And now Turtle has recovered, is chasing down opposite, while Pagoda in the front line. He is the bane of Osama. Fish Our Friends is the last one standing, going to be turned into food once again. Flash forward, Angry B from Pagoda. There is no stopping this man. There's no stopping this team. And they turn their faces towards Baron.
It's just the CGC specialty, Atropa. From out of seemingly nowhere, they find themselves the perfect team fight. They get the catch on deal on top lane, force that into a Baron, force World Class to face check them, and then from there, turn beautifully into an engage to net the rest of the kills. Dylan is here, he has package, and a lot of damage in his inventory.
This is the real showdown of the win conditions. Dylan is one on his own with, as you mentioned, that package, the incredible amount of poke that he brings as well. This Baron pit is not safe, and I'm Blessed Man gonna need to teleport up here just to make sure that his team is alright. Teleports in at half health though. Ratchet forced to flash over the wall. Dylan gonna find the pick, but Filipino Asian Boy, he has shown up himself. They should be able to grab themselves this Baron. CGC, it is ticking down. They managed to get the smite, but now can they get away? Pagoda looks like he wants to sacrifice his life. Fish Our Friends, he is not happy with that, wants to be able to take down the jungler. In the meantime though, Pagoda burning down, and it should be him managing to escape here, but the flash forward from Dylan will secure him. Last auto going to do it, as in the top side. I'm not sure if we're getting this collapse or not. PJ are not going to be able to find the root, and he's just delaying the backs from CGC. They get Baron, they trade back 1 kill, 2 kills actually with Ratchet, and I'm going to call that worth.
Yeah, my ruling generally is if you get 3 Barons away with it, then you're worth. Losing 3 Barons, though, you're sort of teetering on the edge and it comes down to execution. At this point, I'm really happy. Blessed Man Turtle, Filipino Asian Boy, big carries to have the Baron buff on. Obviously, losing on the support really doesn't mean too much. Slightly suboptimal that they lose it on Pagoda because we know how much he likes to split push. But either way, they're 3 Barons. They get a huge chunk of gold as well from that. So this is not just a Baron, it's a large injection for every member of the team. And now it comes down to how well can they use this Baron, how well can they execute on it, because there are still a ton of towers left for them to take. They've only taken 3 so far, all basically off of the work of Pagoda. So now we're going to have to see how the rest of the team use this Baron to enable themselves to start breaking the base, start garnering more advantages for themselves. Because this game is by no means over. Yes, CGC take the Baron, but we're still dead even on gold.
And importantly, it feels like because they got the dragon as well, they've extended the game. And this is where I want to say the drafts of these two teams really start to be highlighted in this, and the intelligence with which they maneuver the draft. Because, looks like it might be a catch on opposite. Shockwave is invested, but I'm Blessed Man. He's burning down to PJ. There is no time for me to make any point. Filipino Asian Boy, he wants to start the fight right now, running down into the jungle of WCG. Might get caught out here is Pagoda, has the heal, but not much else. Nature's Grasp, Ford wants to go in. Filipino Asian Boy not feeling confident to commit himself, gonna get caught on a trap, and he cannot be there in time to save Pagoda, who goes down. He might be able to finish off Fish Our Friends in the backside though, but it doesn't matter. Turtle, he has been unlocked onto the map with all of the focus that went into Pagoda. He takes down Where is Osama, and suddenly the damage from WCG is half there on the back foot. PJ, or he might even go down.
All said and done, it's a 1-for-1, but a huge favourable trade for CGC. No Caitlyn means that they're reducing the damage that World Class has, probably by about 40 to 50% here. And I want to say a big shout out to PJ in that team fight. The Zyra probably saved the majority of that fight for World Class, landing multiple roots at the start of the fight, chunking I'm Blessed Man down to maybe about half HP, needing to funnel a lot of resources into him, using the Karma Athenes really effectively to keep him safe. But the Zyra actually coming up huge, providing so many thorns to zone out the rest of CGC, really, generating a lot of space and making it a lot more difficult for the backline of CGC to get forward and start dishing out damage along with Filipino Asian Boy and Pagoda.
And that's the power of the Zyra, and it's the reason why I'm surprised that we don't see this champion even more. PJ are looking like it, making the pick look absolutely busted right now, because it keeps CGC's backline from being able to be as effective as possible. And assuming that Pagoda weren't the highest level in the game right now, I think that it might actually have worked. But the fact is that with the amount of gold that they've invested into their frontliner, even though the backline might be a little bit behind, with the exception of I'm Blessed Man, who's, I want to say, sporting himself even, it actually makes the fight feel so much more in favor of CGC, because Pagoda is 1.5 times the amount of health that WCG can burn through at this point in time. With ornaments starting to come through, though, we might see that change.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the bigger ticket items as well for the Ornn to upgrade. We've got Molten Edge coming through, gonna have Trinity Fusion on Dylan soon. You know, these are big items to be upgraded into, and that gives a lot of gold back over that isn't necessarily given in the stat line at the top there. That the stats that these guys are getting from these ornament upgrades is actually quite significant in terms of power levels that are going to be generated into these AD carries. And while we've got PJ a flash away there because Pagoda threatening the engage. We've got about 7 seconds now on this Cloud Drake, and we're looking like World Class are just going to give it up, because at the end of the day, this isn't Seoul. It puts CGC on Seoul Point, but they don't need to fight for this one. And with the lack of positioning that they've been able to generate for themselves, CGC have once again played the map incredibly well to get a lot of vision for themselves in the red side jungle of World Class. They've pretty much out-rotated and out-visioned them to enable them to get themselves one dragon right here. And Pagoda, looking threatening as always, has the Gargoyle Stoneplate completed now. And the way this this game has been going, team fights have been team fights. They've not been little skirmishes where the Gargoyles won't be getting its full effectiveness. You know, when you're popping the Gargoyle Stoneplate, what you really want is to be around those 2+ members, it's 3+ enemies rather, to get the extra bonus magic and bonus magic resistant armor. And then when you pop the Stoneplate, if you've got 3 or more enemies around you, the health bonus goes from 40%, which is, you know, still quite significant, up to 100%, which makes you absolutely massive in these team fights. And cutting through him already has proved really difficult for the front line, or for the backliners rather, of World Class.
And it's only going to get harder because Pagoda isn't carrying through one-shotting carries. Yes, he's abusing them by just being in their face the whole time, but the idea is really his ability to CC down key targets and force responses out of WCG. That fight or flight really is the determining factor here, as we see the flight come in for PJ, who has burned his flash, but now it looks like they want to use their superior positioning on this objective to start Baron, and it is burning down fast.
5k on it already. Ratchet coming through. Fisherman's going to engage.
He's not the flanker that I would have expected, but is going to burn a lot out of WCG here, and actually is surviving for quite a long time as the team fight has started without Dylan, who was chasing down Turtle. Now is going to have to deal with this Corki, who chunks him out with a single auto attack. Now Turtle on the back foot here, and Pagoda, I don't think he has a back foot, is just walking straight forward, wants to be able to take this fight, and they do succeed in shutting down the Baron possibility for WCG, even if it is the cost of 2 lives.
Yes, and you know, that is ultimately what they wanted to play. But Pagoda going back in though.
Yeah, the teleport being channeled as well, but straight backline access given over. Fish our friends onto I'm Blessed Man. Still gets shut down, but I'm Blessed Man getting to be taken down as well. Where's Osama? So much damage over the wall. Managed to take down Turtle in just 2 shots, and now Pagoda, he finds himself with no friends at all. Where's Osama might be taken down here, but there is not enough damage. And WCG, the Baron possibility opening up for them again. They have the positioning on it, and Ratchet and Filipino Asian Boy are the only ones left alive. Looks like it's going to be the reset instead.
Yeah, a really well-played team fight from World Class there. The initial team fight looking a little bit shaky with Dylan obviously going off to kill Ratchet, but comes back in to, you know, dissuade the full committal from CGC. But then Pagoda re-engages. And what really happens that sways the team fight is some beautiful traps from Osama, meaning he's able to nuke Turtle and I'm Blessed Man from outside of their effective ranges. There's no way the Ori or the Ezreal can pump out a significant enough amount of damage to contest with this 3-item Caitlyn, who, if she crits you when you have hit a headshot on these squishy carries who have got very minimal armor in their builds, they're going to be dealing 600-700 damage, and that's what we saw right there. The positioning from Osama of the traps, of himself as well to keep himself safe, was pretty unforgiving if you're a CGC member.
It really was, and the fact that they lose that fight is really big, because Stopwatch going to be burned on I'm Blessed Man, won't have that same stasis safety for himself. Archangel's taking over right now. At the same time, CGC, they burn some valuable tools on the side of WCG. No flashes on either carry means that the fact that Filipino Asian Boy has his own flash available as well as Turtle makes their next team fight, if it comes in the next couple minutes, more and more threatening.
Most definitely, because Filipino Asian Boy at this point is just a frontline. Yes, he's built up the Trinity Force, but is not really dealing significant damage to this backline carries at this stage. Delon is going to have, I'm assuming, the lifeline rune, which probably means that he's going to be able to sustain through the majority of the Volibear damage. Caitlyn similarly has the option of having this bloodline rune. As we've seen engage in the mid lane.
Yeah, it looks like Filipino Asian Boy might have been caught out, but they
TP.
get what they really want, which is the teleport into the backline from Pagoda. Immediately pops the Gargoyle Stoneplate, taking up so much time, but he's not able to find any key picks just yet. Turtle looks like he wants in on the fight, but Fish Are Friends, he recognizes that and punishes it, can't do it in time. Pagoda's still alive, but the front line of CGC is not any slush. Beautiful shockwave onto two members there. Gonna get opposite on the side here. Not enough damage from Osama to take down Turtle. If he walks into this trap, he's dead. Has to be really careful. But a Mystic Shot will finish him off. Quadra kill for Turtle. And they can turn onto any objective they like. The mid lane is open. The Dragon is open. The Baron is open. And it looks like they're running it down mid.
Yeah, with this play, looking like they're going for the end there, but that team fight, absolutely nail-biting stuff. 2 for 2 in the initial engagement. Both top laners ultimately giving their life to, protect the back lines, essentially. Jarvan jumping in, Pagoda doing similarly the same thing. But what really swayed that team fight was Blessed Man. Once again, the big shockwaves. It wasn't a 4-man, but it's probably the best 2-man shockwave he will hit this series. Picking up 2 of the backline carries, the 2 backline carries, to enable Turtle to get himself in and deal all the damage that he needed to do. Playing, again, perfectly on the edge of Ezreal's effective damage range. Manages to kite out Osama on the Caitlyn. Massive long-range AD carry, but Turtle just outranging and outplaying the Caitlyn.
And this is why this is the signature pick, not only for Turtle, but for CGC at the start of the season. In an interview that I fondly remember, we got Turtle saying, if Ezreal is up, we will pick Ezreal. And this is why. It's because CGC are able to play so effectively around him on that carry. They know exactly what they need to do to enable him. And we'll see if they can do it here, because Baron's being started up. WCG want to fight again.
Pagoda setting himself up. Looks like they want to engage, and package available for Delon. We could be seeing a game-changing fight coming through right here. Jarvan still hitting the Baron. We're waiting for that go trigger to be pressed, and here comes the on-horn.
Yeah, opposite going to pull it. Nature's Grasp going to be enough, and they steal the Baron. Filipino Asian Boy gets the smite. Shockwave only going to land onto 2 once again, but Fish Are Friends, he is not long for this world. It gets traded onto Filipino Asian Boy. Delon picking up that kill, but where's Osama? Looks like he's going to be the next one to go down. Pagoda needs to get the healing. He manages to survive for just a little longer. Steps under trap, but where's Osama? He's already dead. He has no chance to finish that one off. Delon trying to trade back. Double kill for the Ezreal this time. Will it be a triple? Can we get the Quadra repeated? The teleport, though, into the base. Looks like he might just be going for the end of the game. I'm Blessed Man, maybe looking to cut off the escape of opposite. And they get themselves the Baron. They get themselves the team fight. They might even get themselves the game here.
Pagoda on the Maokai, buying so much time in the front line once again. Tanking up for so long. Karma is back, and this is going to be game 1.
Yeah, opposite can't do anything. The Nexus will fall. CGC, they pilot their way to a game 1 victory, and it is terrifying.
And it's just like, it couldn't go any more to the script that if we tried it, really. It looks as though CGC are a little bit at a disadvantage, and then all of a sudden, they find a miracle team fight to bring themselves back into game with a catch on Delon top lane. They then managed to transition that into a few objectives around the map, but nothing that makes it concrete, nothing to win out the game. And then beautiful team fighting from CGC. I'm Blessed Man hitting wonderful shockwave in the mid lane play, and Turtle min-maxing Ezreal's effectiveness near flawlessly. Both times, or both fights essentially in that late game, just CGC out team fighting, and it's what they're known for, and it's how.
I think I've lost you there just for a second. As let me double check my own mic. Yeah, there we go. We've definitely lost you, but I totally understand what you're saying, and I'm very excited to get that broken down, because I feel like our analyst desk actually addressed that really well. It felt like both of these teams were drafting them down. I want to hear what the analyst desk thinks of what's brought CGC back into that game and what WCG can continue to do. Analyst desk, that's over to you.
Thank you so much, Dia. Hopefully we get Rue back here in just a moment. I'm Jake Kelton, again joined by Paul, and oh my. Could you ask for a better game 1 in a best of 5 series? That was amazing. Both teams had so much that they showed what they could do. We saw PowerPoints from them individually. We were talking behind the scenes about what teams were doing well, but just overall across the board, what was your feeling about that game? What stood out to you?
So I will say, for anyone that cut me in Twitch chat, at 8:40, I was like, okay, game over. Caitlyn got ahead, got 5 plates. WCG wins. See ya. GG next. Right? And then so quickly, things like WCG started forcing it a little bit. And that's what sort of stood out to me. Because coming into this, it's like best of 5. Who gets uncomfortable first? And for me, it was like they got this big lead through Osama. I really liked what Dylan was doing, and then they just kind of started chasing, and then Pagoda just went off, and it was like, oh, that's the CGC we know and love.
Yeah, so something I want to note, I know that it's still on stream for just another second, and we're going to keep it on stream as long as possible, but here's a big factor that I want to point the viewers to, right? Look at where is Osama. 1 million away from 300 CS compared to Turtle's 233, right? That is a 60-something CS lead that this Caitlyn has. It's massive. It is not just a small edge. That is huge. Add on top of that, the Ornn lead. I mean, this is insane from the Ornn items extra empowerment, all right? The damage that Caitlyn and Corki were outputting would have, in theory, been huge. But when you look at CGC, and I know that you and I were both kind of saying this at the beginning, was how high can this Maokai stack, right? Like a tree, how high is it going to grow? How tanky is he eventually going to get? And between him and the Volibear, who built this kind of mixture of Trinity Force and a little bit of tank as well, a good bruiser build, basically said, sorry, you're not going to deal damage to our backline. How many times was the Orianna threatened? I mean, Ezreal's hard to threaten because he only has his arcane shift, but he's also going to have the shields from Karma. They just basically went almost untouched in every game. So when you look at the overall deaths and you're saying, wow, that Volibear died 8 times, the Maokai 6 times, that's a pretty dominant lead from the side of World Class Galaxy. That's pretty huge. It's the tanks that are dying. That's their job. It's the carries that have 3 deaths each, and specifically Turtles, Ezreal, 13 kills.
Yeah, and those trades through the early part of the game are what worried me initially, because it's like you're giving Osama plates, you're trading on what seemed like a being behind game. Like it was like a 2-3K gold difference for a while, and then we started seeing world class. They're forcing Baron. They didn't stop Soul Point in any way. Like I think I can maybe be a little more understanding of that, because they did like I think they just wanted to even the lanes, take some time, and then like trade position across map. And I was like, okay, we'll live with that. But some of those fights that they started to force versus where, and you mentioned it perfectly here, Pagoda was unkillable. So like you have Osama and Dylan just focusing Pagoda, and the backline just decimated everyone else. Like it was like the dust would settle, and Dylan and Osama would just look at each other and be like, oh god, like we just have to face everyone else left. And so going into this next game and just thinking about like what they might want to pick next and what they want to think about, I think, is how do they're going to need some tank busting, and they're going to need some other things like that, where it's like, how do you get through this front line? How do you not let Pagoda just like scale out the wazoo again? Because I know I did, at least initially. I kind of dismissed like, oh, they'll let him side push, they'll let him gather some things. But that made such a difference. Like that TP in the mid lane sealed it. That was such a good play. He was unkillable, and then they turned that fight in a big way.
Well, I think that your early portion of the game is what kind of showcased that, hey, the Ornn could handle the Maokai, all right? He did fine. So congratulations to Fallen, currently playing on the account opposite X. I mean, he did really, really well. It was no problem for him in that early portion of the game. But it's once Maokai gets that 2 items, 3 tank items. I mean, you're just pure tank, and then how many heals that he got throughout the fight, plus the lack of dive that the side of World Class Galaxy had. And that's where I do want to shift that focus from this particular last game to games that they played last week against FSU, which was they ran Hecarim top lane, Lilia jungle. They very, very dive heavy. And now I know that this game they had that Jarvan, and so it's somewhat to a degree dive, but most of the time he was either trying to catch someone, which you can't catch an Ezreal because he's going to jump away. You can't catch the Orianna because she's super fast and has her shield, and you're probably going to get shockwave if you jump on top of her. So your two options are either trying to catch the Karma, which they were able to a couple of times, but again, she's a support who's just poking, and if you still can't kill the back line, it doesn't matter whether the support's there or not. And then you have the front line. And so most of the time, Fish Our Friends ended up doing a bit more peeling than necessarily diving, because there wasn't the follow-up that the rest of the team needed to be able to provide to truly dive and ignore the front line and get to the back line. So maybe this game, Olaf, that's a way to ignore the front line and deal damage to the back line.
Yeah, I'd like to see that from CGC too, because like in game 2 of last week, it was that Ryze, Olaf, Orianna again, and I really like that comp idea, and I like, that's a really good point about the J4, that it was a lot of going backwards instead of going forward. Like the flag and drag was never quite going the aggression way, and I think if they can find a way to retool, because I think he started off like 3-0-5, because we were talking about whether or not he had a bounty. And then that was kind of it. Like we just didn't see it. Right. We didn't see it do anything more. And it was like, and then when you expect the volley to fall off, he didn't. And he had that really cool build with the Ronduin that basically kept him alive through Osama a little bit more. So if they can find a way to reconcile that, I think they're going to have a lot better chance in game 2.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about what the pro draft for this game is going to look like once we actually get it going. But before we do that, I do want to again point out, though, that this is not a one-sided affair, especially game 1 was absolutely not a one-sided affair. CGC multiple times built multiple thousands of gold lead, WCG, excuse me, wrong team. WCG had thousands of gold lead against CGC, something that no other team in Heavy League had been able to multiple times be able to do. It's really, really, really strong. And the other thing is that for WCG, they generally speaking had a lead for almost the entirety of that game. The problem was, as you said, that one big team fight that went CG's favor. After that, it kind of just felt like WCG was constantly on the back foot, constantly, going, oh, wait, what's next? Oh, wait, we have to, again, do those desperation plays. And even though CGC, they kind of sort of felt like they were a little bit behind in the early game, a little bit slow, especially their bot lane got crushed pretty hard. That's just how it goes because WCG's bot is so good. The thing is that they never really felt like they lost control of the game. It kind of more felt like they were just a little slow to the punch. And so this game 2, what I want to know is, does Ezreal's, excuse me, I'm going to say this one more time, does Turtles Ezreal deserve a ban or not from WCG's lineup?
That's tough. I would be, part of me would want to do it just to make him play something else. Like even if, because of that best of 5 element we mentioned earlier, I would just want to get him onto something else and see if you can win Sans Ezreal. And then if you lose again, maybe then you totally switch your priorities. But I'd like to see them do it just to make them a little bit more uncomfortable and force them to at least try to center things around something different. Because you're at a point now where you had a couple things go wrong, and so I wouldn't mind it. Like that's tough. I wouldn't blame them. Like it's definitely not going to be like, oh, they're inting giving them Ezreal. I think they can do still more than enough. Like we saw the bot lane have enough success into it that it wouldn't be the end of the world if they give it again. I think if anything, maybe you ban out some of those other high priority like early fast paced junglers and just let you get one, and then maybe they get a lesser one, like by banning a volley or something.
Yep, so we are going to be jumping into the pro draft here. We'll see what the teams actually commit to, but game 1, absolutely spicy. CGC well deserving that early win after kind of holding on and doing what a lot of teams fail to do when they start to kind of fall behind or a couple thousand gold behind. They get desperate, they make ridiculous plays, and instead CGC felt very nicely in control and slow and steady pace and just found themselves multiple wins. But the other thing that I want to note here while we get into this picks and ban is that, Paul, you and I were talking pre-game 1, how WCG's really strong point is not the 5v5 team fight. It's those more skirmishes where they're kind of chaotic and all over the place. And we didn't see a strong 5v5 fight until like the 4th dragon in the game. But what happened after that point? Every 5v5 fight mostly went the way of CGC. So I think that if we're seeing a trend here, that trend is becoming a pattern in that WCG's weak point is around their 5v5, and they either need to ignore it and find ways to avoid it with a strong split push. Maybe they were the ones who run the Jax in the side lane, a Fiora, an Irelia, or they have to find some way to patch that potential weakness in that 5v5.
And I love that these initial picks we're seeing sort of speak to those two different styles. You take the Orianna B1, which I love, in the blue one spot, allowing them, you're not going to find much of a better team fighting mid lane ultimate than Shockwave right now. You're just not. And from the other side, like you mentioned, those skirmishes, I'll take Graves at the first 6 levels over pretty much anybody, letting him get snowballed. And they're going to pair that with a Xayah. That's exciting. That's interesting.
It's interesting. I don't necessarily know that I love it yet, but it's definitely interesting.
That's exactly how I feel.
It's an incredibly safe bot lane, but it doesn't play to WCG's powerhouse in that bot lane of poke and zoning control. It really is more of a safe laning, which is saying, I have post 6, my ultimate, to make sure that I am safe and no one can dive onto me, which was definitely their problem in game 1. But to me, it says that WCG are slightly less confident in their bottom lane because they're shifting up this draft, where even though they had a nearly 100 CS lead at the end of the game, last game, they're saying that's where we want to at least shift things a little bit. Now, obviously, they shifted things in the jungle too, going more damage heavy, more snowball heavy with this Graves. They are a strong early game team, and so maybe because Xayah has some snowball potential too, they're double dipping into this early game snowball composition. And I did want to know, and they did, baiting WCG into, are you going to pick the Rakan? And they did, to split up that duo in the bot lane.
As a Rakan main myself, I'm excited to see that, and I want to see what it's paired with before I can totally dive into it. But the other thing, to go back on the Xayah thing too, is that you can be okay taking someone that's not going to be a heavy push laner, because you can just, like, you're just leaving open gank city for Graves. So even that, I sort of like that you don't have to pick that super hyper dominant laning phase ADC, when if you just want to get the Graves ahead, just like let lane go as it will. And I like the Ornn here as well. I think Ornn just has so much utility to start team fights, and it's going to play really well into this Xayah Graves, that, like, if they get fed and you can just, like, burst people down off a Call of the Forge God, that's going to be really, really nice. And interestingly, you mentioned maybe they go Fiora. They're going to ban it themselves, so they're kind of getting rid of some split pushers here.
Yeah, Fiora nicely counters Ornn if played really well. I mean, Fiora's one of those weird champions that she's either kind of like Yasuo, 0-10 or 10-0. There's no real in between. She's either in the hands of somebody that can abuse her, or vice versa. So they said, hey, you know what, we're going to take her away so that way that she can't kind of clear away that Ornn CC. They're also going to ban the Maokai. Okay, I was curious about this because we saw Pagoda's Maokai absolutely crushing top lane, super good, but was well handled by Fallen's Ornn in that top side as well. So it was kind of one of those safe picks. So we'll grab the Ornn. We know that we can scale with it. Even if they scale on the Orianna, we can scale too. It's fine. And we know that if they pick the Maokai, we can at least handle up to about the 20-minute mark with this Ornn up there. But instead, they banned the Maokai as well. And now I am dying of curiosity on what ADC we have for CGC, because they could run something like the Lucian, who's all about just getting that massive burst damage down before the team can respond, and can play around with mobility around the Ornn, kind of dashing away from his charges. But there's still the Kaisa, there's still I'm blanking on a couple of the other ones.
They could still go Ashe here too.
Oh, that's so true. We haven't seen Ashe at all priority in this, at least game 1 and game 2 so far.
Which is weird, because there's not like a reason for it. Like, in case anyone's wondering, like, where's Ashe? There's nothing happened. Like, Caitlyn's actually the one that got kind of hammered, not so much Ashe here. I really like the Camille, because we saw that last game, that sort of chase down happening without, like, a real initiator. Like, sure, J4 can flag and drag Cataclysm in, but, like, I think they want to pair a little bit more utility with that, with the Sejuani ultimate. And so I like this, like, Camille, Sej, Rakan combo. Like, it's just CC City to combine into a Shockwave. What are they putting with this?
Yeah, CGC is kind of dumping in a lot of CC. Oh, big brain. I gotta let you do that. That's Paul's job, not my job.
I would have never thought of the Lucian, because I was thinking Ashe, because we saw Ashe last week. But Lucian's just so good right now. Like, I think he's, like, one of the best mid laners. Even they might have even touched him up a little bit to prevent some of that. But I think he's so slept on as an ADC. And if they let him snowball, ooh, that's gonna be a long day at the office. I really like that pick a lot.
And I like the Bard pick as well. Okay, this is where things get truly, truly spicy for those of you who are watching, because you got a nice little combo here. CGC ran, as you said, the fact that they have CC City with the Sejuani, Rakan, and Camille, and then the Lucian kind of pairs with the Orianna as one thing and one thing only, damage dump. Between his call and the bursting light, it's how much damage can you put into one area as much burst as you can. I mean, heck, take the Graves if you're trying to do that too, even though it was taken away from them, because you're trying to dump as much damage into those CC combos as you possibly can. So it's fine and good. And CGC brings out the support to spice it all up and says, hey, guess what? You might CC someone, but we are going to nullify all of it. And so even if you have the damage dumping from CGC coming through, WCG can say, hey, you know what? That's fine. Bard ult says no on this play. Now you have to wait for your cooldowns to come back up on those ultimates.
And that's, I think, the beauty of the comp is having that sort of bailout button that you can, everyone can dive in. It could be a perfect setup. Tempered Fate, like the no you, and like they just back off again. Like it just gives them a second to get that room back where they operate. So where you give Graves and Zaya space for their mobility and just able to decimate damage. Like that Bard pick is just so smart here. It gives them so much time to re-engage. Like even they could like Tempered Fate into an engage and then just do a full re-engage of their own with like a Call of the Forge combo. There's a lot of interesting combos here, and I think if either team gets ahead, it's going to be impossible to stop those. And I think this game has an interesting like snowball potential that I don't think was possible last game. Like I don't think we had a 22-minute mark win potential last game. I think we have that potential here.
Yeah, especially for WCG. And that's another thing that I wanted to note is we haven't really talked much about this Akali in the mid lane, Delun on the pilot for it. What is Akali's primary objective? Ninja, assassin, find a squishy target, dive the squishy target, kill the squishy target. It's perfect for jumping into that backline like we saw a lack of in that last game to kill the Orianna, to kill the Lucian. Camille's running away with, 200 health. Akali can follow and kill her too. And it's not a team fight. WCG have doubled down on, we're not interested in 5v5ing you. In fact, we got a Bard to say, we're so not interested in 5v5ing you. We're taking people off the field. We're not going to 5v5 fight you, all right? We're going to snowball this early game. We're going to grab as much damage as we can, bursting damage in the early, and then look to win off of sheer pressure that we get from a strong early game. And you still have a strong Ornn that can jump down to the bottom lane, bring a Call the Forge God, get some action happening, skirmishing action around the Drakes or the Rift Herald. So I like it overall because even though the champions are a little bit different from what we typically see at WCG, the play style is a little bit, again, still in their comfort house, which is fast, furious fighting in that early game. Let's look for kills. Let's snowball the game.
Absolutely. It looks like we're starting to get out of time here towards Speculate. I got to ask you, Jake, how close are you to bingo over there?
Okay, let me check bingo really quickly. I currently have 5 on. I think most people have 5. Oh no, Baron's stolen. Wait, okay, so if Baron's stolen, that means I have 1 away, and I'll post it on the Discord. 1 away from getting bingo using the free in the middle. The one other spot that I have is CGC goes up 2-0. So if CGC win this game, it's bingo, baby. I'm happy with that. Even though I really want to see WCG in their comfort house in this game, winning it off of just sheer snowball and never giving CGC a chance to breathe.
And I think that's possible. I think this is a comp versus last game that like leans in more of a direction. The last game had a lot of different iterations of things that they could accomplish. These compositions are a little more defined of like, we're going in, this is how we're engaging, and we have to execute a specific thing, where last game they could have gone a couple of different ways. And so now I like that they're doubling down on some of the things that we saw last game that worked and didn't work respectively. And this one, again, this is going to be anyone's game. Like, as much as we talk about how great, CGC's looked all season, even looked last game, the last game was not like a snowball, like crusher of any sorts. Like, this is still really anybody's series.
Yep. Now, a thing I want to note very quickly before we go into break, we got just another minute to break it down a little bit more, is that Volibear was up and not banned nor picked. So for CGC, especially running the Sejuani, it leans you into the sense of we're not necessarily looking for a brawler per se, but we're looking for a CC tank in the jungle. And that's something that can be punished when you start to recognize that trend. And I think that's where WCG was leaning more towards a duelist jungler, someone that can actually potentially kill Sejuani if they find her in the jungle. And so we might actually see CGC, especially with an early game Bard who's going to start his Q. So he's going to have those stuns against walls, against multiple opponents. We might even have a invade because Ornn, Bard, and Graves combined together could absolutely look to try to punish and or kill Sejuani in the early game level 1, or maybe steal a buff away.
I think I want to see WCG invade. I don't want to say they need to, because I think there's other avenues to win. You've got to push this Graves early. You have an opportunity to single invade, late invade, double invade. I think you have to look for that there. Now I hope to see it. I want to see some action flying in the first minute.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back after the quick break with the casters. Both Diatropa and Rude Dude have been killing it on the cast. We'll see you all once we launch into game. We'll be right back. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're enjoying the stream, make sure that you not only follow if you want to find more content like this. This may be the finals, but we've got Heavy League Season 2 starting in 2 weeks from today. If you've got a Heavy League team, think about joining. The signups close this Saturday, so we still have a little bit of time for signups. And we have a mid-league as well. So check out our Discord, links down below in the panels. We've got some awesome leagues coming up here that you can join. You got a couple of days left to sign up. You got a team, come and play. We'll be right back with the game 2.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Summoner's Rift, where CGC at UIC will be facing off against WCG for the second time tonight. Game 1 was a banger. Game 2 looking to be even more so with some spicy picks hitting the Rift.
Definitely so, Diatropa, and I'm really excited to see these games continue. This is obviously a best of 5, and being in the United Kingdom at the minute, I for one am going to be disappointed if by the time I go to sleep it is not light outside. What I want is I want to see 5 games. These two are the best 2 teams in Heavy League. We need Dylan on Akali, a very different take to the Corki. A lot of playmaking potential, wants to be in the backline, dishing out the annoying that world class have drafted for themselves this time. And Pagoda, not to mention on CGC, got himself the Camille in the top side.
Yeah, and importantly, with this sort of shift in the draft comes what we were talking about at the tail end of last game, which is adaptation towards what the teams showed as their strengths, right? They take Pagoda off a tank. That's one of his strengths. And Dylan now has this backline access that he's drafted himself that he really just didn't have through the front line last game. Both these teams, they got to play with what they were strong with last game, and now with a read on each other, get to run it back one more time, trying to shut each other down.
Oh, quick press the attack proc.
Pagoda, I believe he's already skilled his Q, so actually we'll have to take the long way around here lest he fall to fish our friends. Flash is available for both top laner and jungler. Pagoda, though, taking so much damage, he needs to be really careful here. Filipino Asian boy peels off of the blue buff, or off the red buff that he just has taken. And now is going to try and feel for fish our friends. Pagoda surviving just barely, will be taken down. Ultimately smite onto the blue buff to secure the life there. And Filipino Asian boy roaming up from the red now has I'm Blessed Man with him. Could be able to trade top laners here. The first 2 minutes of the game are bloody, and it is not looking to slow down anytime soon. Ratchet diving onto where Osama throws the ignite down. PJ are doing his best to keep his ADC safe, will for now, but the map is already blown wide open for both teams.
Yeah, so many things happening already. Osama with a nice sidestep on the grand entrance down bot lane, but the key things happening on the top side of the map. Fish, our friends, getting the red buff, an engaged bot is going to get flashed away from. I'll hold with bated breath as Turtle dashes in.
I'm pretty sure Osama's dead here. Flash forward again from Turtle. Last auto won't do it! Whereas Osama walks himself away under the tower. Turtle now ignited, and PJ
still available.
To die here. Still has Flash available, and so Ratchet can't overcommit for this, although the Flash will not be enough. The auto follows him under the tower. PJ, he falls as well, and it is 2-1 in the first 3 minutes of the game. No slouches at all. It is a kill per minute at the moment.
And this is exactly what we wanted, right? Just 5 games of hard action so far. We've got 2 out of the 5 already. 3 minutes in, 3 kills. You can't really ask for too much more coming into a grand final of any league here. And bear in mind that, remember, these guys are like D1, D2 players. This is, some of the best talent that NA Amateur has to offer. And with these guys going hell for leather already so early on, it's just creating such a great set of games so far. Really interesting how the top side is going to continue to play out, though. Because with Filipino Asian boy being able to path through his own jungle and now path top lane with a gank, I'll hold it for this play.
No, opposite. He's so dead here. The Searing Charge is going to buy him a little bit of space, but the wraparound from Filipino Asian boy, it is too strong. Pagoda going to be the one to be given this kill here. He is the win condition, and he is looking for it with the scissor kick right to the face of Ornn. Should be able to finish it off. Filipino Asian boy searching just in case Ornn managed to turn it around. Has a lot of damage in his kit, but it will not be the dream today for WCG. Pagoda, he gets ahead, and that is terrifying because he's not on the Maokai this time. He's ready to make plays.
Yeah, and if we were talking about his split push capabilities on the Maokai, imagine what he can do on this Camille here. As we get later and later into the game, that side lane is going to become more and more difficult for the Ornn to even contest with. It's going to be dive central, you feel like, as soon as Pagoda reaches the 2-item spike that Camille's are, favoured for, that they love to reach with that Trinity Force, Tiamat and a Death's Dance, really. You're going to be able to dominate anywhere that she does go. So we're looking to see if this snowball can continue to come out on the top side. CGC, they've generated themselves about a 1,000 gold advantage so far within the first 5 minutes, and that's fairly sizable at this stage of the game. And you have to think that the majority of that is going to come through down on the bot lane. You look already 10 CS lead for the Lucian, as well as the kill in the 2 versus 2. This Lucian is set up in a really great way to take over the game as well with this Camille.
Yeah, and this is a lot of early game power invested into this Lucian. We had mentioned WCG's own early game options with things like the Bard, Graves, and even the Ornn to an extent, but Lucian is similarly one of these champions that can take a lead and absolutely run away with it till you start hitting those 20-minute marks, and depending on his build, maybe even beyond then. And in the top side, just because we touched on the Camille matchup, who's actually taking a little bit of an unfavorable trade right now, looks like she's going to get some jungle attention to clear that one up. Jungle attention to the bot side as well, but the fight in the top side is going to break out first. Opposite going to potentially be taken down again. Doesn't have the searing charge this time. Brittle not going to proc just yet. The kill there. Opposite goes down. 0-3 on the Ornn. 2-1 on the Camille. The Cull has been picked up. Pagoda has not a care in the world as he runs it straight into the face of his opposite laner.
Yeah, and this is a perfect example of where I am fully endorsing the Cull pickup. He's against an Ornn. The Ornn is 0-3. There is a 0% chance for me at this stage that barring any colossal misplays by Pagoda, that he's under any threat this game. He should easily be able to segue himself another 100 CS and generate a kill's worth of gold with the completion of the Cull. So this is, a really nice item, optimal purchase, really, getting himself to that mid-game Camille, late-game Camille, that just terrorizes everybody even faster. And with 2 kills in his pocket, he's going to be getting there very quickly.
Yeah, has the Tiamat for himself already, as well as the Cull that we mentioned. And yes, there is an Ocean Drake trade to let some sparks fly in the bot side. Opposite, going to take a little bit of an awkward trade. Is Tiamat going to help push in that way? Filipino Asian Boy, he's looking for the gank. Teleport already invested, though. Level 6 is hit. They may be able to burst down Xayah, and now it's just another 2v3. Turtle in so much trouble as, Shuriken Flip going to hit. Might be able to burst down Turtle here. Doesn't have the flash away. Will be taken down. And just before he comes up, D-Lun going to be burning down for his sins, though. Filipino Asian Boy now perhaps going for PJer. There is a chance that he turns this around and gets a kill, but the knockup from Ratchet going to deny that one. PJer falls, double kill for Filipino Asian Boy, and it is a huge play in favor of CGC. They get themselves 3 kills, and they trade only 1 back.
They definitely do, and the teleport expended by D-Lun manages to get a kill for himself, burns his flash, burns his ultimate, but the entire time, I'm Blessed Man just sat farming mid lane. He's going to have netted himself 2 waves off of the teleport advantage, going to also get himself a plate, not actually get a plate, but could have got himself one, but either way, just generating more and more of a lead for himself. All of that kill gold that Akali got has brought her back to even with the Orianna from that roam. So nothing really earned relative to the Ori and in this lane, except probably just a little bit of an XP reduction overall. And this entire time we're thinking, or maybe a gank mid though.
Blessed Man has to flash away from that one. A lot of damage showing up in the mid lane all at once with Fish, our friends, and D-Lun. There's no disrespect that can be afforded here, even if he does have that XP advantage.
No, definitely not. And, this is... I'm Blessed Man's Orianna, right? They B1 this pick because of how stable he can be and how consistent he is on this champion. Giving him this time to just freely farm and get as much gold in his pocket as he needs to carry, it must be so terrifying for World Class to look at, because they've just seen what he can do with an Ori in game number 1, and they're giving him all of the tools to do it again in game number 2.
And it looks like it's going to be where he's going to have to perform very quickly, because Pagoda and Filipino Asian Boy, they're already fighting. Pagoda in a lot of trouble here. Doesn't have the flash to get away. D-Lun going to be able to clean him up. Fish, our friends, going to be punished for that one, but PJ is also on the roam up. The support roam not being matched just yet as Rash is making his way over. The Shockwave buying a little bit of time for the Sejuani. Maybe the Charm can do it, but there's not enough damage over the wall, and as much as I'm Blessed Man and Ratchet are able to do, it is not nearly enough. As where is Osama? He's taking a lot of damage in the bot side. Might just be soloed out here as Turtle goes under the tower, burns the heal off. Could look for the dive here, but will take that one for himself. It is a trade this time going in the favor of WCG as they find themselves a numbers advantage towards the top side of the map.
Yeah, for sure. They're using the advantage of this early-sided Graves and Akali at this point. As much as we talk about the fact that Orianna is a tremendous pick for Blessed Man, at this stage in the game, hasn't picked himself up any damage. That fight occurred. He had a 1 amp tome for combat stats in his inventory. You translate that over to the Sork shoes and the Bilgewater that I believe D-Lun had definitely got the Bilgewater at that point in his inventory. Those combat stats are far favoring the Akali. On top of that, Graves able to put out a ton of damage with the completed Warrior enchant. They also had the support roam far faster in that play. PJ are there much faster than Ratchet was to the play. Ratchet showing up really as a afterthought more so than anything else. So the early play coming out for WCG, and it's exactly as the analyst desk pointed out, that World Class, they excel in these skirmish-style compositions, the skirmishes that they take, favour them much more than going for 5v5s, because that's where we know CGC play well. So if they continue to play around this skirmish style, then I see no reason for them to not start generating advantages, but this could be a fight bot.
Yeah, and it could turn very quickly into a skirmish because we see the Fish Are Friends on the gank here. Going to be caught out by I'm Blessed Man, but now, suddenly in the middle of 3 members, is not long for this world at all. Filipino Asian Boy going to pick himself up the 6th kill of the game. A lot of kills on this Sejuani being funneled in. 150 gold bounty already. Not necessarily what you expect as Pagoda. He's already having a rough time in the top side. Opposite, because Pagoda isn't at the point of the 3 items yet, isn't actually going to be hurting that much. Camille really needs that time to scale up, even if she does have the early lead.
Yeah, for sure. Nice little Tempered Fate usage there. Going to actually mitigate the majority of that ulti. Oh, but here's Dylan fighting.
Yeah, Blessed Man still has the barrier available, and there's a teleport invested as well. Pagoda, he wants to punish D-Loon for his aggression, and teleport going to be responded by opposite XO, so manages to get away with that one for now. Rakan going to be zoned out, the Graves from collapsing onto Pagoda, and everything's going to go relatively even, but the Dragon has been started, and opposite doesn't want to let them get away with that. No Hextech ultimatum means that no response can come in, but opposite doesn't manage to steal the Dragon. There's no follow-up from his team. Will just burn down to the Culling Turtle, picks himself up another kill. Fish Our Friends gonna go down. Sejuani is on a rampage, 7-1 at this point. Sure, everybody else is succeeding, but Filipino Asian Boy, he is literally and figuratively killing it this game as he secures the Dragon, secures himself a kill, secures CGC a team fight win.
And it's the 5v5 once again. CGC expend the teleport down to the play, have every member in the area, and then they take the team fight. They take the Drake, they get themselves a couple of kills, and it's just another advantage that they're going to be happy to acquire.
And there could be more, even more here. Turtle going to get rooted up, but where's Osama? He's super low. Flash available for Turtle as well. Doesn't even need to use it. Threading the needle there. Grabs where is Osama under his own tower with Flash still available.
The piercing light through the minions, picking him up perfectly. The nice little snipe there through the caddy minion. Just things like that make Lucian such a stylish champion, and when people can pull it off quite that well, it really is a treat to watch. Really well played by Turtle. Ratchet as well there to support. Dodging between the feathers, making that the Blade Caller didn't root Turtle or deal a significant enough amount of damage for him to feel threatened there. Just clean bot lane play. And now we're seeing opposite engaging in the top side with Filipino Asian Boy nearby. I don't want to speak too soon, but with the top side 2v2, could be fighting.
Really strange. It looks like Pagoda in a lot of trouble here. Is going to get the Glacial Prison down onto Graves. Flash forward from Pagoda will secure the kill before Graves can do anything. Fish Our Friends goes down, followed soon by his top laner, and a botched top play will result in even more going in the favor of CGC. Pagoda now 3-2, going to perhaps get this tower down.
Filipino Asian Boy knowing exactly where he needs to be, recognizing that top was in a vulnerable position, rotates himself up there, leaves his camps still, and helps his top laner out. Walks in with the Glacial Prison, manages to lock up the Graves before he's able to deal lethal damage to the Camille. And this Sejuani, 8-1 already, is incredibly fed as well. With the XP lead that he's got in the jungle, going to be able to handily deal the damages to this Ornn and to this Graves. You know, Sejuani, no slouch in terms of being a bruiser when it comes to just being ahead and having the base damages. With no magic resist on this Ornn, Sejuani's base damages are more than enough to try and start trading effectively versus these two champions. We see a fight under the turret.
Yeah, it's not just those two champions. Peter, he's going to be locked down there, and I'm Blessed Man. He's caught in the river, uses the flash to get away, might be able to buy enough time. It's going to be burst, but now Dylan, he's in a heck of a lot of trouble. Might be able to try and take down Turtle, but he does not have the damage to do that. Ratchet going to be zoning off where is Osama as the rest of his team goes on a merry hunt for Fish Our Friends. Flash over the wall from him. Might be able to earn himself time as well as his life. Goda, he's pushing in this mid lane. They want the turret, and where's Osama? He can't stand up to this pressure. WCG, they are losing across the map.
Yeah, CGC already just are so far ahead. 15 minutes into this game. Turtle? Oh no. Absolute comedy right there, just dashing into recall.
Somebody
But
click that.
that was great. We're 16 minutes into this game. CGC have nearly got themselves a 10,000 gold lead. We're broaching 9,000 at this point. And this composition for CGC gets stronger and stronger the more the game goes on. This Lucian build scales really well as well because he's needed the Blade of the Ruin King to be able to cut through the Ornn as we get later and later into the game. But with this build, likely going to be building an Infinity Edge at some point and probably a Zeal item as well. And those 3 items in terms of Essence Reaver, Crit Strike item, your Zeal item, and an Infinity Edge are always going to scale well. Late game crit scaling marksmans are things that AD carries have been beloved to do. You know, it's the sort of the joy of ADC is that once you get these 3 items, you actually deal damage to some champions. And once he gets there, even later on in the game, the Lucian is going to scale tremendously. Orianna, we don't need to talk about it. I'm blessed, man. Beautiful with the shockwaves. Similarly, Pagoda on Camille, we know what he can do in a split push. And with the Camille, we'll have to see him be enabled.
And I think that sort of the question mark for me this game is that Camille, because as much as he is a really good split pusher, he's also an excellent team fighter. He plays really well to CGC's strengths. Once they do start grouping up, well, as much in the mid game, he is accruing himself a really huge advantage. And I'm wondering if on the Camille, he can know his limits as well as he does on the Maokai, because limit testing has been absolutely huge for CGC in these games. It is what has let them walk away with victories on team fights that are right on the edge of what should be possible, and Pagoda's really going to need to execute like he did in that top side skirmish, flashing in for the final auto there to be able to walk away ultimately with the victory this game, unless we see the gold lead just get absolutely out of this world, and it might be that.
Definitely, I could see an engage here with the... I really like the Righteous Glory pickup from Ratchet, just signaling that they want to go in. They're under no pretenses that they're going to have a nice little fight around where nothing is going to happen. There's going to be some engagement, and it's going to be fast. Pagoda fighting with Dylan now bot lane.
Pagoda finds the stun as well onto Dylan, who's now maybe looking to take him down. Beautiful dodge with the Hextech ultimatum. We'll take him straight onto the Kali, and she goes down. Dylan outplayed, outmatched by Pagoda in the top side, and in the mid lane, CGC, they are forcing onto the tier 2, and everything is bleeding out in shades of gray, it feels like, for WCG. There's the engage, and the Glacial Prison to follow it up. Filipino Asian boy, he is too tanky for this world. Ornn gonna go down before him. Featherstorm will not find a kill, and Orianna's already got her first kill of the game. Finally does not grab herself an assist, and it's the Rift Herald channel on the back end as well that should secure this inhibitor in the mid lane.
Ladies and gentlemen, get your bingo cards out. Look at them. Try and line them up. That was a 4-man shockwave from I'm Blessed Man, and the way this game is going, we need somebody at home to beat Jake to Excellency Heavy League Bingo, because CGC look like they want to take this 2-0. If you have bingo, please tweet at us at Excellency Esports, because somebody needs to take Jake down. We can't have him write the script and win it as well, but this game is going so favourably for CGC that it's just looking that way.
And a reminder as well that we've also, with that play, crested 10k gold. Also a bingo box is what I want to call it. So go ahead and tick that one off. And exactly as Rudude said, somebody rush to the rescue here, because the 2-0 is looking like it is coming fast. And CGC looking in a commanding position this game, just grabbing themselves some more gold before they back, going to be able to grab themselves additional items to really start slapping WCG with their wallets and close this game out.
You know, at this point, it feels awful to say, but you have to think about, okay, how are we gonna look toward game number 3 if that's what the mentality is? Because World Class here, they're in a really difficult position, and it goes back to, for me at least, they felt the need to ban this Ezreal. They banned Turtle away. And now that you've seen him, and Paul mentioned this brilliantly, that, shockwave used.
Yeah, Dylan, I'm Blessed Man, wants to just number check him here, and it looks like it's going to work with 3 people already on this guy. He's going to have to flash over the wall here, away from the Baron. Its turtle dashes in. And that's no flash on the Akali, the crucial backline access that you need. Xayah still scaling up, only has the 1 item, and there's really no answer here as CGC, they start up the Baron.
Yeah, and there should really be no contention from World Class. They're in no position to do so. TP coming through from Pagoda, and quickness started.
I agree there shouldn't be, but it looks like they want it. And Pagoda, he is more than willing to punish them, jumps forward with the hook shot. Now there's yet another teleport coming in here, but it's in a 1v3. There's no way that Opposite survives this one. Gonna get at least some knockups for himself. D-Lun tries to follow up, doesn't have the damage yet. And Ratchet going to be able to survive. Burns the heal off Turtle. D-Lun could look for something, but the flash forward from Ratchet wants to punish the aggression from D-Lun. Where's Osama? He looks like he could be going down, but D-Lun, the Akali, is already gone. Baron is picked up in the meantime. Pagoda walks it down the mid lane. The respawn timers are not that long yet. It's only 21 minutes, but that might be all of the time that they need with 28 seconds on the Akali. Graves is just now up. These Baron minions, they are knocking on the base. They are knocking on the first turret. Pagoda goes in. Filipino Asian Boy follows up, and the damage is overwhelming. I'm Blessed Man has just now come in to shield his own jungler. The shockwave onto 3 members, going to perhaps secure this team fight. Filipino Asian Boy, he's still alive, and the second Nexus tower has fallen. They are knocking on the door here. They are knocking on the Nexus. They are knocking on the 2-0 as CGC. They move themselves to that 2-0 mark, and in commanding fashion, prepare for the possible end of the series.
And wow, that was an absolute slaughter. If game number 1 was as close as we were going to see, game number 2 was the complete opposite. CGC dominant pretty much throughout that entire game. Fish Our Friends got the first blood in the top plate or in the top side jungle, but other than that, it was all CGC. Everything went their way pretty much from level 3 onwards. From Turtle getting a 2 versus 2 kill onto PJ, from Pagoda and Filipino Asian Boy making the plays happen, setting the own incredibly far behind. Just everything lined up and fell into place for CGC that game.
And there were a lot of questions going into it, at least from my end, and I hope from all of ours, where we were curious to see whether, with these teams adapting to each other, if CGC would be put on the back foot. It's not a tank in the top lane. Yes, we have the Orianna, which I think we absolutely should have in 0 games if WCG wanted to take a game. And we have a totally different AD carry in the bot side, but at the end of the day, CGC, they play their game, they play that macro style, and Filipino Asian Boy comes up absolutely huge, enabling his team, ending the game at 8-1-9, and it looks like CGC are just so clean in this series that you have to wonder what WCG are going to pull out in Game 3 to turn it around. I'm going to throw it to our analyst desk just to see if they have any additional insights here, as I expect that they do, as we rush into Game 3 with our eyes wide open and hearts pounding.
Thank you so much, Dia and Rue. Another fantastic cast. Welcoming back to the desk is myself, Jay Kelton, and Paul. And boy, oh boy. Okay, Paul, you're talking a little bit about this in the game, but something happened to WCG's mental between game 1 and game 2. But you were even saying that you thought that it actually happened in game 1. And that it's carried from there into game 2.
Yeah, and I love that you bring that up here. So in game 1, as I think a lot of us have stuck around through this whole series, we saw them start to chase plays, right? They had this really solid lead. Like, I mean, you had Osama way ahead. He had the early BF. He just had a lot going. And then they started forcing fights. And you were forcing skirmishes and forcing just some of these weird plays that weren't ever going to quite go their way. So they force the Baron play, doesn't go their way, and then they fight in mid lane, and there's a TP behind them that comes in from Pagoda. Pagoda's fed out the wazoo, decimates them, and from that moment on, I think is when things kind of went sideways, because the rest of the game, they never found their rhythm again. And then coming into this game, we unfortunately see Fallen had his struggles in this game. He just really couldn't get back on board, and it seemed like some of that mental boom carried over. Now, to CGC's credit, they played about as good of a game as you can play. So they just played fantastic League of Legends, about as well as you can. But from the other side, I think we saw WCG kind of shoot their shot, and now we're like, well, that didn't work. And they're kind of struggling to find that plan B. And in game number 3, they're really going to have to try something different or just double down on what they do best.
Yeah, it's a really tough call, right? Because you kind of just saying they carried over maybe. We're not knowing the future or even the past. We don't want to project onto the players, but it appears like they may be going from game one and that kind of difficulty that they had, a little bit of a struggle into and carrying that through into game two, playing slightly less confidently because there's this air of needing to, hey, we need to make sure we play safe. We're running out of games. We already lost game one. So they played a similar style. And this game two, I think where things kind of went wrong was, yes, great invade from Fish Are Friends. We actually called it in the picks and bans, saying, hey, with this Graves, you can invade Ornn as well. They got themselves first blood, and that was fantastic. The problem was that then the Ornn dies immediately afterwards. So they not only don't get ahead, but they actually kind of go even. And then Ornn solo dies in the top lane multiple times afterwards, which means then he can't be using TP to join his team for those skirmishes as a frontline tank, and there's no other tank for the side of WCG. From that point on, it basically becomes everyone just has to fend for themselves. And you saw Fish Are Friends spend most of his time farming the jungle, trying to catch up to the Sejuani. But Sejuani's not only farming her own jungle, but she's ganking and getting kills. At one point, 5-1. I mean, this Sejuani was pretty much carrying this game through the entire first half. And so through that, she was never going to be able to catch up to her because she's getting gold through kills, which is far more efficient than just farming in the jungle and also farming in the jungle. So when you're talking about changes between the draft from game two and game three, I think that some of their base concepts and the core idea of we want to play skirmishing, we want to play active early is fine. But I think most of it comes down to the mental, which is you have to play confidently if you're going to be snowballing. You can't second guess yourself. You can't question. You have to play like you already have won. And I don't know that WCG can refresh their mental, breathe, and reset for this game three because it's do or die. They have to start the reverse sweep in this game three or it's done. It's done.
And that's going to be the really tough thing. And I even think of it too, you know, in any other match, like if you're watching the LEC and you see Sejuani pick up the first 5 kills, like you're just yelling at your TV, like, what are you doing? Why are you giving the tank all the kills? But like we both sort of had this like quiet confidence of like, okay, so they gave the tank the kills. Like they're just going to use it as a stronger front line and they're going to be fine. Like CGC is just able to sort of improvise around whatever comes their way. Like to your point, they're playing like they're going to win. Like, okay, the Sej got the kills. They're just going to put them together elsewhere. When from the WCG side, it was like, okay, well, Sej got kills. What do we do to counter that? And we never really saw that counter movement to be like, how do we make up those kills? Like, we never saw like roaming from a mid lane in an interesting way. We didn't see a lot of bot plays come up with the like. I think the Bard mobility was a little bit underutilized. I might actually be mixing up teams. Let me confirm I'm saying that right. No, yeah. But I wanted to see PJ or Roam a little bit more. Like they were parts of the toolkit that they didn't pull out and use. If you're going to make these really versatile, utility-heavy picks, you have to find a way to apply them. And I think they struggled a little bit. I think they kind of tightened up and didn't want to make the risky play. And by not making the risky play, they actually already failed before they even tried it.
And to be fair, I do want to give credit where credit's due to some risky plays that some people took, but it was mostly individual based. And if you're skirmishing, you can't be 1v3ing. If you're skirmishing, you got to be at least 3v3ing, right? Because there was this moment when DeLund teleports into the bot lane behind multiple members and is trying to duo with PJ or finishes off the Lucian, shuts Turtle down. That's huge. And almost is able to escape, though the Bard magical journey is a little bit late to be able to come through. So the concept is really good. That's what Akali wants to do. TPing behind people, murdering the ADC. The problem was, again, that Sejuani was so far ahead that she just says, your damage tickles me. Haha. You're fine, you're dead. And then they follow Bard and they get more kills too. And multiple times we saw Filipino Asian boy on the Graves getting soloed out by Sejuani because she just got too far ahead. And I think that in this game three, I wouldn't even mind seeing Filipino Asian boy going back to something a little bit tankier like that Jarvan in game one. Maybe even going a Hecarim who has some die potential, but also has some damage, but also can build Bruiser. But doing something along those lines, because when you are going straight damage dealing and you fall behind, you basically become ineffective. And that's what he did after that 6 to 8 minute mark. Was where did Graves show up again? Where did he deal damage? He just died to the Sejuani. He got one Drake. That was about it. So changes that I want to see for WCG's side is a stronger jungler and maybe one that isn't so reliant on snowballing quite as heavily. And then for CGC's side, honestly, I wouldn't even mind seeing them just have something fun, because it's game 3. They know that they only need to win one more game to win it all. They're really good at game 2. They smash super well. So if you're going to give up a game, it would be game 3 and play something that just is fun to play. I think it would just be fun to watch. So
yeah, they're sort of in the comfort driver's seat. And to your point too, because you mentioned it, right? Like we saw those creative plays come as like part of 1-on-1s or 1v3s, or like kind of looking for these cheeky plays, not like guided as like a hey, I'll hit, then you hit, then I'll hit sort of scenario. And all of those 1-on-1s were just really well played. Like Pagoda just had a great time in top lane. We saw that quad shockwave in the mid lane from on Blessed Man. Like we just saw really smart play. Ratchet looked fantastic on that recon. That 0-0-15 scoreline.
Oh yeah.
You can't have like as a recon player myself, like that's my most played champ. That recon play was so clean, stopped so many deaths, initiated so well. Like you want to talk about when we're talking from the other side of where maybe there were some misuses or not enough use of WCG's utility. Every part of Rakan's kit was sort of used to perfection. Like I even saw like this beautiful flash grand entrance ult combo into a shield over the wall. It was like, holy cow. Like it was played so well around everyone else on the team. And I think that even ties in with our original point of like, once you're mentally boomed, those comms are going to be like not nearly as proactive. Like they're just not going to flow the same way when they were just like, yo, I'm going in, Ratchet, you got me, right? And like they're just gone. Like they're a hive mind. And that's what I think was sort of the beauty of watching that.
All right, so we do have the pro draft. It's getting started up here in just a moment, but I completely agree with you that the comms need to be calmed down this next game. I know that every pressure in the world is on you, and you have the weight of just every single game that you've played the entire season riding on this one game. But this is where legends are built. This is where you separate the good players from the great players. And at this point, WCG need to showcase they're not just good, they are great if they're going to be able to do this. They're on the blue side, even though from the picks and bans perspective, I don't think, oh, it's hidden. Nice, I like the logos over. Okay, I was double checking. Our shout out to our production guy, Monocle. He is a boss on it, dropping those logos over. So you do get WCG on the blue side, and they first pick the Ezreal as their first grab, banning away a lot of blue champions. They take away the Orianna this time, the Sejuani, and that Rise.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to thank you to Monaco. I'm actually going to watch from the stream, so I might be even a second behind you here, Jake, so I don't confuse our viewers any more than myself here. So I really like what CGC's approach is. I mean, so the bans are the exact bans I think we've seen almost the entire day, sans the Orianna, which makes so much sense, right? You cannot give away I'm Blessed Man Orianna again, but the rest of them kind of fall in line, banning the Sej. So really smart bans, generally speaking. But that Thresh Lucian combo, that sort of lore throwback classic of a duo bot lane, that's going to feel really comfortable. And that kind of speaks to that fun you were talking about. Like CGC's feeling themselves. Why make yourself play something that's hard to execute? Lucian Thresh, not terribly difficult to execute. Lucian's not the squishiest. Thresh is pretty beefy. You just have to land a death sentence and you're cooking. So I really like that. That's like a really mid-level, like it's not risky, it's not conservative. If you play it right, it's gonna pop.
Yep. Now, to be fair, I know the Twitch chat kind of starting to question mark it. The Rengar is not Rengar. Welcome to Pro Draft. It's got its kinks and issues, and they're always fun to watch. That is actually a Nautilus. So far, WCG have grabbed their bottom lane with the Ezreal Nautilus and their jungle of the Trundle. And I like the Trundle. I love the fact that he can output damage. He brings some CC with the pillar, and he's a bruiser tank. Those are a lot of the things that I really wanted to see Fish Our Friends be playing in this next game. The one small issue is there's no dive. There's no ability to guarantee get onto the enemy team backline, but that's where the Nautilus comes in, and that he's got his ultimate to say, I can just point and click on you, you're going to get knocked up, and your team probably is going to get knocked up with you. So I don't mind it at all. The Grace comes out from CGC in response as a damage dealer as well, so maybe Filipino is going to run the salty play, take away your champion, I'm going to play against you, as a lot of bans are coming through quickly. Both teams feeling really confident on their choices. Ornn, Corki, Maokai. And what is this last ban from WCG? It's the Cassiopeia pinching that mid lane pool quite a lot.
And I know chat's waiting for me to do a big brain pick here, so I'm going to throw out a couple here, Jake. I was going to say Ornn for CGC, but they banned them away. I wouldn't mind seeing a Galio mid lane, even a Camille on their side. I wouldn't mind seeing I think you can use a little bit more sustain around what you have going. So they're going to go with the Vladimir for that sustain. And I believe they'll probably send that top side. So mid lane, I'd just love to see a Galio. Like, you combine that and just play strictly around Lucian Graves. Like, I don't think you need a mid laner that does damage here. I think you can afford to go tanky. I mean, you can make a really cheeky mid lane play. It's still even possible, I guess, they send Lucian mid lane, though I doubt it at this point. But that's what I'm looking for right now.
Ooh, the Kennen. That's really interesting, because Kennen, normally speaking, you think of as a team fighting champion because he can stun multiple people and he's really good at being able to just output a lot of damage in a big area of effect. But you can do that in small skirmishes too. You don't necessarily need a bunch of people. Wait, the Kiana as well. So that's Kennen top, Kiana mid, Trundle jungle. That Kiana mid is a giant question mark to me.
That's interesting. It's almost like they're playing TFT and they're looking for double ninja or double assassin or something. And I don't know that the rest of the team fits around that. And so I'm skeptical. I like that they're making a bullet choice when they're down, though. And I think that's the important part of this that I'm going to keep in mind, is that they're down in the cards. They need to put together something. And so this is their idea of trying something out. And we're going to see, and we'll make sure that's confirmed as like an accurate CGC pick.
Yeah, so the Scion is a Gnar as well. So another pro draft error. So just to double check before everyone, so it's freaking out again, it's the Rengar is a Nautilus and the Scion is a Gnar. So that's Gnar top lane, Vladimir mid for CGC.
Okay. That's really interesting. I really like it too. I think Gnar will play really well into that. But the Vlad mid. Okay. You did say you want to see a fun comp. I think you got a fun comp out of CGC here.
Well, the fun part about it is that both the ADCs of the Graves and Lucian have dashes with the quick draw from Lucian and the Relentless Pursuit from Lucian. I said Lucian twice there. Quick draw from Graves, excuse me, and Lucian's Relentless Pursuit. So you have yourselves highly mobile ADCs. You also have crowd control with the Gnar and Thresh, as I'm getting mixed up. Thank you, Pro Draft. And you have late game scaling of Vladimir. So I think overall CGC have put themselves, again, another strong comp, but it's very similar to what they standardly do, which is sit in the lanes, farm until the enemy team decides they want to try to fight around an objective, and then you go kill them at the objective, and repeat until you own all the objectives, you own Summoner's Rift, and you win the game. It's very standard to what they've been doing. This is actually standard for their entire season, which has been just good, clean League of Legends. You run some tanks, you run some damage dealers, and you run some engagers. That's just how it is. It's WCG that's really the one stirring the pot with the Kennen Kiana mixed. And I've just got so many question marks on how this pairs together, especially regarding the fact that they're not going to necessarily win the jungle early because it's a Graves versus a Trundle. And Graves being a better duelist than Trundle can hold his own, especially after getting a couple of levels. But I think that there's going to be some discrepancy here.
And it's a little concerning for me to see such a hard system and a combo to execute, right? Like, I wouldn't argue that, like, running Kennen, Kiana, Trundle is an easy execution. I just don't think it is. And so when you're in this game 3, you're down 2, you have to put all your cards on the table and say, okay, this is what we're going to do to actually win. And you haven't necessarily been executing well. We kind of talked about earlier, your comms are kind of down. You're a little bit boomed. Maybe this is like your energizer. Like, maybe you ran this once in the past week, or like, hey, wait a second. Remember that crazy comp? How crazy would it be if we tried it? And so maybe that this is what they're looking for. I mean, you've got a lot of really good engage tools too. If the Nautilus is able to roam, a la how the Bard we wanted to see roam a little bit more last game, I think you're going to see some really interesting plays come together. But you're playing into just such a hard comp to decimate, right? Like Vlad's going to find his way out of any of these attacks. Graves is going to win those early matchups. Lucian's got really good mobility, and you're still going into a Thresh and a Gnar. So, like, I don't know that this is the comp I wanted to see, but maybe this is the comp that we needed to see. I'm willing to give it the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is that for WCG, this is their best hand that they can put together with everything that they've known, everything that they've done, everything that they've played against CGC so far. This is what they feel is the best, and we both have questions on it. But I like what you said about this may not be the comp we want to see, but it's maybe the comp that they need. Maybe this is the comp that they need because they've got themselves a strong front line with the Nautilus and the Trundle. So in a 5v5 desperation play, they do have some standard Nautilus and Trundle front line. You have the Kennen for a fast engage. You have the Ezreal for the damage, but he's also safe with the dash as well, the Arcane Shift. And you have an Assassin to get onto those carries. So you look at it, you say, this can be a 5v5 comp, but it also can be a very skirmish-heavy comp. I mean, Qiyana is one of the fastest mid laners to roam around the map. You could only maybe counter something like a Galio because of his ultimate. But other than that, she can slip around the map super, super quickly, jump on these side lanes. There's not a ton of great targets to hit, but I think that she actually will probably be focusing on punishing the Graves, take down Filipino Asian Boy in the jungle, force him to not be able to play a aggressive and snowball-y, and let your bot lane do what they do best, which is we saw in game 1, poke and take over the bot lane control. Ezreal super slippery, hard to catch with a Thresh, and Nautilus says, look, even if you catch me, I'm Nautilus. I don't care. I'm just going to smack you around with my anchor. So we'll see if WCG can kind of pick up the pieces from what they had in game 1, but apply it to a slightly different comp build for this game 3.
And I'm just about as excited as we can be here, Jake. I mean, it all comes down to this. The whole season's on the line. WCG's got to find a way to get this, find a win, put something up on the board, or we're going to see CGC walking away as heavy league title winners here.
All right, we are going to take a quick break. Before we go, I have to ask Paul, really quickly, if you had just off of these builds to predict a winner for game 3, who would you predict?
I have to take CGC, and I think we're going to see that invade that we really wanted out of the Graves last game. I think he's just him and Vlad are going to dive into mid lane hard early.
All right, well, I am going to pull for WCG. I want to see us go at least to game 4. Give us the game 5. Give us the silver scrapes. I'd love to see it happen. Quick shout out. We have our mid-league and heavy league still with signups available. Come join the Discord. Check out the information. We got you. You got a team. We got a league starting up in 2 weeks. Don't miss it. The games will be just as hype as this as we have another regular season starting up soon. Come play. We'll see you there. We'll take a quick break and be right back as we toss it over to Diatropa and Rude Dude after the break, the most amazing Excellency casters ever, par none.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Summoner's Rift as we load into Game 3 of XLNC Heavyweight Finals. My name is Diatripa, and I am joined by the one and only Rudude as we walk ourselves straight into this 5-man spread here. Thank you so much, UCL, for rating us. Upsurge Esports with a generous rate has brought us to that 100 viewer mark, and I could not be happier because this game, if any, needs an audience.
It really does. We're right here, game number 3, do or die right now for World Class, and it looks like it could be the do here with a little bit of an invade coming out, level 1.
Is Rush going to be parked on Filipino Asian Boy? He actually has the opportunity to really run down Fish, our friends here. He commits into Dylan though, and Ignite has gone down. Electrocute proc already will force Filipino Asian Boy away, but First Blood picked up by PJ as he flashes over the wall to grab the kill onto Filipino Asian Boy. Pagoda could be next. Gonna burn a summoner at least as he hops over the wall right there. And it is WCG walking away with an explosive start. The Skirmish Gods, they hit hard.
And did I say do or die? And they go for the do, and they make the die happen right there. Filipino Asian Boy gonna fall. Ultimately, it's First Blood to PJ, who loses his summoner spell, which might give him a little bit of a rougher lane in the bot side of the map, and we'll have to see whether or not that gets exploited. But summoner spells burned in the top side as well. Ratchet now waiting.
Yeah, Ratchet is just looking to cut off PJ as he heads back to lane, and they will know where the Trundle has started. Just because they know that there's no leash on the bot side. Trundle starting top, Kennen giving him a small leash as well. And I'm curious to see whether Pagoda misses any minions based on that death or no.
We'll have to wait and see. It looks like he made it up for, maybe not to hit the minions, but definitely got the XP for the majority of them. And that's the most important part, really. Did have a quick pan up, and there we can see, I think it's just have a quick toggle that he got all the experience that he needed. Remember, though, everybody, this is, the final potential game here for World Class Galaxy. They're 2-0 down in the Heavy League finals, and this is for, all of the marbles, essentially, for CGC. If they win this game, they take home the first ever season of Heavy League, and they come out the victors. And as Jake rightly pointed out at the very beginning of the broadcast, there can only be one Season 1 winner. No matter what happens tonight, one of these teams will go down in history in Excellency Heavy League, just as one of the founding teams to win at Heavy League.
Absolutely, and everything being changed up here by, it seems like both teams has thrown a lot of question marks on the table. Firstly and foremost, the Kiana, of course, but Pagoda on this Gnar, I'm actually really excited to see because it feels like it fulfills all of his tank split push dreams. The CC, the damage, and the ability to be a problem in the side lane is exactly what Pagoda wants in this Gnar. And on the other side of that, opposite, has drafted himself what is really going to be an effective team fighter and an almost equal split pusher to that is I'm Blessed Man, taking a little bit of an awkward trade in the mid lane, made not nearly as awkward by the fact that Vladimir has an incredible amount of sustain.
Yeah, and early game is probably the best chance Dylan's going to have to be able to punish it. And, if you're keeping track of the bingo cards, you'll see I have to hold it for Filipino Asian Boy.
Yeah, PJ procs the Aftershock, though. Going to be hooked right back in.
No
Ignite goes down, and I think he goes down here. Filipino Asian Boy grabs himself that kill. Blessed Man trying to dodge out on being killed himself in the mid lane. Still goes quite low. He doesn't know the Fish Our Friends are here. We're going to spot him right now. Pillar is going to deny him the path under the tower. Flash there from I'm Blessed Man as Fish Our Friends burns his own just to get the mid laner's flash out, but he doesn't know the Ratchet. Filipino Asian Boy, he wants to reclaim the kill that was taken away from him in that early game. Might give it over to I'm Blessed Man, who grabs himself the blood out of Fish Our Friends. They turn around this early, and Dylan, though, flashing forward, does not want to be dictated to. Flash forward from Ratchet as well. They trade back and forth. The Rift is a bloody mess here in Game 3, Rudu.
It's an absolutely slaughterhouse start. This time, definitely more favorable for World Class, but there's more top.
It just doesn't stop. Even in the mid lane, Ignite thrown down onto Ratchet. I think he goes down. Lantern going to delay it for just a little while, but we have over a kill a minute. It is 4 minutes into this game. 7 deaths already on the Rift, and we are exploding.
World Class fighting with every ounce of their strength right here, trying to keep themselves in not only the game, but in the series as well, and they're starting out strong. taking back the advantages that CGC tried to gain from the bot side. They punished the Nautilus with no flash, and then roamed mid lane as well to punish the Kiana trying to overextend, but then she gets a kill back on the Vladimir. Even supportal combat going down in the mid lane. You know, these two supports kill Hungry. Ratchet flashes in to finish off Dylan, and then PJ using the Ignite to take down Ratchet later on. Not to mention the fact that there was a solo kill on the top side. Opposite takes down Pagoda as well. First time really that we've seen Opposite be in a dominating position in the top lane. And honestly, it's a great look, and if there's going to be a change in how World Class play out the games and in the end result, we're going to need to see something change, and a top lane play might just be that thing.
Yeah, and Kennen is somebody who gold is extremely valuable on. Filipino Asian Boy, one of them as well, but could be taken down here as he started the dragon up already. Can he grab it in the end? Will be stolen away from him. The flash can be forced out as he tries desperately to escape. Turtle almost killing Where Is Osama. They need to be careful because he doesn't have a dash and might be caught out by this Trundle. Instead, though, it is Ratchet who is caught out. Where Is Osama? The damage from this Thresh is certainly enough. And in the meantime, Filipino Asian Boy has managed to escape, but Ratchet looks like he's going to be the sacrificial lamb here. Turtle trying to follow up, does not have the damage to take down these two tanks, will trade his support's life as well as the dragon. And WCG, I dare say they found themselves a lead here.
In the most sort of the loosest terms so far, given they're still down on gold, but I definitely feel like they have the momentum. Opposite going in, has level 6, Turtle overextended as well.
Oh no, Turtle, it feels like his health bar just disappears to the face of that Trundle, and Pagoda in trouble as well, going to be taken down by Opposite. What is happening? It is really Opposite Day in the top lane, and that is in more ways than one.
Yeah, the way that this top lane matchup has played out has just gone so heavily in favour of this Kennen, and honestly all off of the back of just outlaning, I suppose, on the top lane. You know, Kennen into Gnar, 2 ranged matchups, really comes down to how well it is a skill matchup for me, I think, and execution-wise, definitely appears the Opposite, now with the level lead, now with the gold lead, might be able to snowball on this Gnar. You know, that last Shuriken dealing a significant amount of damage, managing to find the kill, managing to find the solo kill again up on the top side. And right now, lots of things definitely going the way of World Class.
Yeah, and not, or what is it? Well, not least of which is this mid lane trading pattern. Dylan with that electrocute is able to chunk out I'm Blessed Man consistently, and right now the sustain from Vladimir not able to keep up. It looks like we might see I'm Blessed Man in a spot of trouble here, as a nice dodge out on the perfect execution with the pool will keep him alive for now, but it looks like the turret dive is what CGC are under threat of, as Dylan, he's looking still for that kill. I'm Blessed Man wants to turn this around. Filipino Asian Boy has come back from stealing all of Fish Our Friend's topside jungle, wants to get out on the party himself, but Dylan, so much mobility on this champion, is going to be able to get himself out. Ratchet looks at the hook, isn't going to find it. I mean, the supports are just not in their lanes, but wherever they are is where the kills are happening.
Exactly, and you tend to feel like that favours an Ezreal, especially because with the tier picked up already, is going to be able to pretty much freely farm down on the bot side. Shouldn't really feel too much threat from this Lucian, though Turtle has a nice CS lead. Ratchet
right onto Where Is Osama. Nice arcane shift to get him out of there. Will mean that he just takes a chunk of health in return. Might actually get a chunk back onto Turtle if he lands this Mystic shot. Will not get it, but is still safe. And I think that that is really the biggest boon for WCG. The fact that they can unlock their support to make these plays across the map and have Ezreal at least not die, which is really his strength here.
Exactly, and you know, you just look across at how World Class are playing this game. It is very evident what their plan has been so far. Look at where all the kills are in the team. It is PJ, it is this Nautilus, and yes, that's not ideal, but it shows how World Class are playing it out. Pagoda fighting top lane, going to get the double dash away from any form of danger. Now, Ratchet, Filipino Asian Boy, this play is fairly telegraphed right here. Now Filipino Asian Boy shows his face as well. Osama, though, he's in trouble.
It doesn't matter that it's telegraphed because they can just take this turret away. Filipino Asian Boy flashing forward, cleans up Where's Osama with the collateral damage, but Opposite, he's here, he has the level 6 flash forward slicing. Maelstrom will take down one, can it take down another? Opposite claiming himself the second kill of the game. Turtle, he wants to shut him down. Teleport's being channeled down to join this fight by I'm Blessed Man, but D-Loon is here, and Turtle, he's going to be left to die. Triple kill for the Kennen. Opposite, he's 5-0, he is popping off this game. He is putting WCG on his back, and it looks like this man is a strong one.
And did you say that play didn't matter that it was telegraphed? The teleport comes through from Kennen, picks himself up a triple kill to respond back to just the one kill that CGC pick up. Fish, our friend's going in on the top lane, but he's going to be able to walk it out.
Yeah, doesn't want to walk into Pagoda, even if he is taking bad trades into the Kennen. Kennen and Trundle, very, very different champions at this point, and Trundle not going to be able to measure up to the kiting potential that Pagoda has the Ignite for himself as well with that Summoner Spellbook, and now it looks like we're looking for plates in the mid lane. Ratchet has roamed up here, and just buying some space for I'm Blessed Man.
Yeah, and you know, this is really gatewaying Vladimir to that level 9 marker that Vladimir's really want to. Getting that rank 5 Q really means that his sustain and his presence in the lane is so potent that there's pretty much no solo kill pressure from this Kiana, short of an entire all-in, but Ratchet...
Woo! The predict on the hook there! This should be Where's Osama going down. Turtle dashes under the tower, gets the light right there. Ratchet falls to under half health, but Piercing Light is going to be what Turtle takes away, and he takes away Where's Osama's life, gets himself another kill on the board. It looks like Fish, our friends, and PJ want this, but the Lantern going to be able to take his AD carry to safety. They spot the Dragon Flashboard from Fish, our friends. Won't be able to secure the Dragon, might be able to secure Filipino Asian Boy. He's trying to back up. And there's the dash to get him away from Fish, our friends. Ratchet has roamed up, has to be careful here. Dylan has turned up, they just see him right now. The true display of talent will stun Filipino Asian Boy, but it's not quite enough damage. Dylan might be taken down by Turtle. There he goes, Filipino Asian Boy gets the kill. PJ are now on the retreat, forced to use the ultimate defensively. I'm Blessed Man joining in the play, but it is already over. And CGC, they have taken the Dragon, they have taken the fight.
2 kills and a Dragon netted for CGC in the last minute, and him going on the top lane. Pagoda misses the Gnar. That's going to be the end of that, but 2 kills once again in favour of CGC. Ratchet with a beautiful hook to predict the Arcane Shift, and then an all-in top side now.
Nice exhaust there. Might buy Pagoda some time, but it won't buy him his life. Ignite going to be used as well. But opposite, he does not even need to use his keyboard at this point. He can just click on Pagoda to get him down 6-0 on this Kennen. He is well and truly dominating, and he is the problem point that Turtle is going to need to address.
Yeah, and you have to feel like at some point, Pagoda, you just have to cut your losses, buddy. This is not a Kennen that you can fight. Yes, you've got the Mercury treads, but this Kennen had 5 kills. The Rift Herald goes down top lane as well. They're going to secure themselves a couple of plates up there, get the 3rd as well. So a lot of gold over back in the pockets of World Class. This game teetering on a nice edge right now, very reminiscent of game number 1. Yes, the kill score in favour of World Class, but the gold lead still just slightly with CGC.
Yeah, Pagoda with a bit of an awkward teleport there will at least manage to, I want to say, delay some backs for a little while, keep Dylan out of lane. That's really all he's getting at this point. And in the bot side, turret plates falling in the top side are being answered by CGC with the lead that they've got themselves onto Turtle. Already picked up that Blade of the Ruin King, has hit that early power spike that Lucian is so well known for, and are going to be able to shove wave after wave into this tower, might even be able to secure first tower in the face of a 6-0 Kennen.
Yeah, this Lucian is incredibly strong, and this is sort of what we were trying to allude to with Turtle. And the draft from World Class was pretty big from them, that they leave the Ezreal open, pick it as first pick, and then they know that the response is going to be this Lucian from Turtle. They exhibit it in game number 2 and really took over with it. So they're saying that they're happy for him to have it. That we see him fighting mid. Looks like he's going to just be dissipated.
The fact that he has the pool is going to be so valuable. And Filipino Asian Boy, he's 2 levels up on Fish, our friends. He's been doing his job. He's been farming that jungle. Gonna straight take him down. But the huge slicing Maelstrom gonna pick up an easy double kill for Opposite. 8-0 now. I'm gonna keep calling out these numbers because I want to see how high they can get. Opposite is popping off this game, and there is no stopping this man.
There really isn't. You have to think, what even is the answer to Opposite at this point? Because if he gets in your front line, there's no real way of getting him back out, short of Pagoda having to save his big Gnar ultimate to try and keep the team safe. We see him using it top.
Oh yeah, Pagoda, he wants a solo kill, but a nice true display of talent is gonna get him the flash away as well. PJ are picked up in the bot side, and an attempt at a play almost gets the kill onto Dylan, but Pagoda just does not have the damage, goes down, doesn't get the turret. But in the bot side, at least things are going their way somewhere. CGC, they have a shining light in this Lucian, ironically, in this
and it really, they pick you. Sometimes you pick the Kennen to bully out in the lane, and then when he transitions into mid game, his skirmishing and his team fighting potential is so incredibly strong that he just takes over. But we've seen him dominate the laning phase, and that means that his team fights and his skirmishes subsequently are going to be so much stronger than you can ever possibly imagine. And we see the respect being paid by CGC. The Mercury Treads picked up by Turtle, a very early Zhonya's picked up by I'm Blessed Man on this Vladimir here. They know that they have to try and fight this Kennen somehow, and they don't have the answers.
And WCG, they know they have to start a fight. Blackboard from opposite will secure a single kill. Ratchet might be the next one. Turtle, he just does not have the damage to turn this around, but I'm Blessed Man, he's looking to help out. Teleports right into the fight. It is going to be a single pick in favor of WCG. They force that fight. They get a kill. Pagoda is waiting on the sidelines. He is not spotted just yet. Almost at that Gnar bar. Is going to have to get himself away from this fight. The dragon is spawning soon, and CGC, they've got to pull the trigger on something. Instead, it's going to be the Vladimir pulled in here. Pool Forest out. No way to get away from the CC. Turtle flashes away, burns the heal as well. Might be able to take down D-Lun, who goes invisible temporarily. I'm Blessed Man is surviving. D-Lun going to be taken down, but Turtle is taken down in trade. Pagoda picks himself up a single kill. Ratchet as well, going to hook from beyond the grave, but he is well and truly dead. And the numbers advantage is in favor of WCG as they continue pushing in this mid lane, and Dragon has spawned.
It has, definitely, and these team fights going in favour of world class, something that we've not seen so far in this series, but it's all pretty much off the back of this top lane differential that has picked itself up in this game. And Pagoda constantly, we've seen it time and time again this series, wanting to be that split push threat, but while he's doing that, he's not been able to get anything this game in particular, constantly teetering between helping his team and being in a side lane. And that is not allowing Turtle to step up. If he's not in the front line, Turtle can't do the damage because he doesn't have the appropriate space being generated by this Gnar that needs to just start going tank and start being in the front line.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate because Pagoda is often in a position where he can at least 50-50 a 1v1, if not 70-30 it. But this time around, he's not been able to kill D-Lun in the sideline, not been able to kill opposite, and at this point, I really don't think that he can even take down Osama in a clean way with all the slipperiness that he has, and it means that Pagoda is relegated away from that split push that so often nets him advantages. It is so much about the team fights this game, and you're right, he needs to start going tank because his utility is what matters right now.
Exactly. Turtle is the shining star that you'd alluded to, that CGC needs to start playing around. That and Blessed Man, as he gets more and more items, has now completed the proto belt for himself. But this Lucian is a key point at this point in the game, with that almost 2 completed items picked up for himself. They need to play around him and make sure that he's enabled in team fights, more so than Pagoda is enabled in a split push, because this game Pagoda just isn't the same threat.
No, he really isn't, but what is fortunate for them is that they have a very strong side laner in this Vladimir. Obviously a lot of sustain against the poke of the Kennen, and the ability to dodge out on that ultimate ability means that I actually feel like the side lane assignment is ultimately going in CGC's favor for the time being. They're getting themselves the gold in a safe way, with Pagoda in the bot lane against D-Lun, who doesn't have a lot of kill threat unless Pagoda overcommits, and both these carries are going to be able to scale up. It's a gamble from CGC, though, to say, I think gold is worth more on us than it is on you. Let's find out.
It definitely is, but that's just the way CGC have played time and time again. We've talked about it this series in all of the weeks gone by, that CGC play the map better than any team. This is showed right now in the fact that their lane assignments are actually netting advantages for themselves. This 8-0 Kennen side laning versus the Vladimir is not doing anything pretty much at this specific moment. Has the teleport available, and this could be a play starting to brew here. The control ward going to rat them out, finds them, and nothing's going to happen there. But CGC, they're the team that play out the map in a perfectly reasonable way for themselves. The fact that they've mitigated this Kennen for the last 2 to 3 minutes is actually, a testament to how well they can play out. Keeping him in a side lane where he's not doing too much versus a Vladimir is exemplary work, and with the team fighting later on, I'll have to hold as opposite. Whenever you see a Kennen dashing in, you have to think something's going to happen.
Yeah, you got to keep your eyes up. Fortunately, though, I'm Blessed Man. Having that pool, having that safety is going to be able to survive in the lane pretty convincingly, in fact. And while we saw, what we talked about is really nice map play from CGC there, it looks like WCG looking to make one of their own Rift Herald channeled in the mid lane. They want to break this tower.
Yeah, and they're going to get it as well. This is just going to fall under the charge, especially with 4 members committing to the mid lane, just to make sure that it goes off as well. Really nice little play. You know, they use the Herald effectively to pick up themselves a turret in the mid lane. First one of the game for World Class. You know, compare that to the one opposite as well on CGC. They're leveling up things here and there, and I liked your point about CGC just sort of skill checking them, saying, yeah, we're quite happy to scale up, and we will just out team fight you later, because that is, you know, the other portion, the other proponent of CGC that we've come to be able to admire is the fact that they do team fight better than pretty much every team that we've had in Heavy League. And now, for World Class, with an 8-0 Kennen in your pocket, you can't really ask for a better setup this game to start winning out on team fights. If they're going to take any, it's going to be off the back of this Kennen. And if CGC still manage to find a team fight and manage to win it, then that just shows how good they are as a team.
It absolutely does, and what WCG need to do is, it looks like Ratchet going to be caught out here. He's going to burn the flash to get away from where is Osama. But what WCG need to be doing here is using that Nautilus that we talked about, because as much as Kennen might struggle to start off a team fight, PJer is built for it, and the follow-up from Dylan and Opposite can absolutely destroy CGC. They need to start playing the map in a similar way, getting the vision to know when CGC is going for something, so they can punish with that Nautilus and let Opposite and Dylan do their jobs, because right now they are being shut down in a way that seems quite subtle because nothing is really happening, but they're Opposite and Dylan aren't playing to their strengths when they're not team fighting, and right now what this is, at the very least, is not team fighting.
Oh, we're gonna have to hold it for a play top lane.
Yeah, Opposite might be caught out here, actually uses the Lightning Rush to great effect, but Ratchet is going to look to land the hook there. Pagoda wants to commit under the tower here. Nice Gnar into the wall, should secure the kill. Pagoda needs to take that Lantern out. If you're still tanking up the turret for I'm Blessed Man, tanks up enough turret shots, does have that HP, those stats in his pocket. It is going to be CGC giving up the dragon in the meantime, but what a massive shutdown going over to CGC.
Yeah, every day of the week you take that trade if you are CGC. 1,000 gold on your Vladimir in exchange for 1 Cloud Dragon? Yes, please. Thank you very much, they will say right there. And, you know, you're thinking maybe Pagoda dies once again, but even if Pagoda dies to that turret, that's still so incredibly worth it that you're going to take that trade every day of the week.
He just backed and straight up bought a death cap. He went from 0 to death cap.
If we were ever under any illusion that Blessed Man couldn't carry a game on anything other than Orianna, this is going to be a game where he can show it off. You know, I don't normally endorse the second item, you know, sort of defensive styles from Vladimir. I've become quite a fan of the Spellbinder into Deathcap style build path. He had to build the Zhonya's here just so that the Qiyana didn't get the advantage in the laning phase that she didn't end up getting because of the build path. But when you build a Rabadon's third, any lacking damage that you get from going a defensive item second is just removed immediately.
It absolutely is, and the straight-up purchase of it speaks to the fact that he is, I want to say, the second most farm in the game, technically tied with, until this moment, the Ezreal right behind Turtle, and the amount of CS coupled with that massive shutdown has propelled him to this item breakpoint. Right now, more ability power on him than Kennen, who has instead opted for the Morellonomicon.
Yeah, exactly. If we just toggle the gold here for a little second, we can see where the gold is distributed on both sides, and it's fairly obvious when you think about it that the majority of the world-class gold is in the Kennen, you know, and then you look at the other lanes, mid and ADC for CGC, they're both 2,000 gold ahead of their roles respectively. I'm Blessed Man with that full Rabadon's pickup is actually so far ahead of this Qiyana now, and similarly Turtle has so far ahead that he's been able to buy a QSS just in case the Kennen gets on top of him.
And that's absolutely massive because the safety that it provides you is, I want to say, held up in that 2,000 gold, right? Now that because of the lead, he's afforded himself to say, I'm even, but I'm also safer than you. Pagoda not looking too safe right now, but on the top side, the Baron is being started. It's a matter of how much time he can buy. Almost goes Mega, but isn't going to ultimately fish. Our friends, though, is surviving for much too long. Turtle takes a huge chunk. Might go down. Hook in! The QSS not enough here. And opposite, he has arrived. I'm Blessed Man. Needs to do what he can, but he doesn't have enough damage. No Hemo Plague available. The Zanya is just buying a little bit of time, but he doesn't have the pool up just yet. And he's going to be reduced to a puddle here on the Rift as WCG, they're running over this Baron fight. They're running over the game. Flash forward onto Filipino Asian Boy. Going to be bought a little bit of time by that Locket. They need to keep the jungler alive just for the steal, but it is just the chance of one as he retreats under his top lane tower, and the Baron is going to be started by WCG.
Yeah, this is the perfect opportunity for them to do so. Dylan is actually going to get kited out here. Nice smoke screen to keep the Graves safe. And I don't know that World Class have the full damage to be able to do this here. Ezreal doesn't have the Baron take capability that he does with a Bork. I'll have to wait. Pagoda going for Dylan.
Yeah, Pagoda's just hanging out with the solo kill here. Should be punished because I don't think he hits that Gnar in time again. I'm mistaken. He does manage to get it, but there's still 3 members right in his face. What he does do, however, with that solo kill, with the Graves hovering around, is deny the key Baron. And Blessed Man, he's here to follow up on that. Has the Hemo Plague, forces the flash out of... Oh, someone, I swear they flashed this. I'm already sidetracked because I can't look at the summoner spells anymore because I'm Blessed Man. He's already going insane. But Graves, he is gone. He has no backup. He's going to be taken down. Kennen finds himself another kill. Now sitting at 9-1. Now he has died. Still keeping track of the kills. But a Turtle is looking to invade onto where is Osama. The fight doesn't end. This is exactly what we saw earlier. Flash forward for Matchin. Predicts again. But there's no follow-up because Turtle is having to deal with PJ. Gets the lantern over the wall, though. And Fish Our Friends, he might go down. Turtle is absolutely styling it now, going to be locked up once again by PJ, who has the Aftershock, and he needs to get away because opposite, he is on the chase. And I think that we should see Turtle manage to get away from this. Should have the dash over the wall. Going to stop briefly to take care of a ward, but D1 is not going to be able to find him. Does not have the water walking, but the true display steal going to catch him on the edge there. 26-15. We are still way over a kill a minute. This game does not slow down for anyone, let alone Turtle.
And the fighting over the last sort of 2 or 3 minutes here, dear Chopa. Take your time to catch your breath. We've got Drake spawning in 3 seconds, so there's going to be more action soon. But so many fights on so many fronts. Dylan going in here into a fight against Blessed Man and Filipino Asian Boy.
And yeah, he walks away with his life there, as well as chunking both of them. Filipino Asian Boy, he does grab the blue buff for himself, but he's denied good positioning onto the Drake, and Dylan looking to deny him even more. Going to pick up this pink board. There is no vision available here for CGC. They're going to have to commit to this fight fully, and Turtle's not even here yet. And there it is, opposite goes in. No slicing Maelstrom procs just yet, but it doesn't mean that Pagoda can't go down because he certainly is dead. Zanya's going to buy a little bit of time onto Blessed Man. Hemoflake going to heal him up. There's the pool. There's the splash damage, but it's not quite enough yet. It's still alive. Turtle has shown up. He wants to take the fight in his own hands, but he's locked up already. QSS. There's the hook. There's the damage. Triple kill for the Ezreal. Where is Osama? Going absolutely wild. Let the steal away on the backside. Filipino Asian Boy. He finagles that Drake into his hands. Gets his team on soul point, but at what cost? Dylan is chasing him through the jungle. Should be able to kill him here. Nice blast cone over the wall. Means PJR and opposite will turn back. But the Baron is the call right now for WCG. I wonder if they can get it done this time. 17 seconds on Blessed Man. Filipino Asian Boy looking like he's going to be picked here. Might actually be able to get away with the phase rush. This man... And the great escape here is absolutely confusing me. I keep thinking he's dead, but I look back and he is well and truly alive. 6,000 health on the Baron means that I don't think that we see a contest. They should have the burst to finish this one off. Filipino Asian Boy, he is approaching. Can he get it? Tops of the wall, doesn't get the steal. Should pay with his life. Finally, Pagoda, please don't look for anything. I'm so tired.
Stop chasing CGC here, please. They're at a numbers disadvantage. Pagoda and Ratchet, though... Standard procedure.
Oh, he pulled the hook over the wall! Ratchet, he's gonna go down here, gets punished for that greedy decision, and hands over another kill on top of that Baron to WCG.
Okay, so... right, we've just spent the last 5 minutes, I don't even know doing what. This has turned into an entertaining game, I'll say. World Class have more kills than there have been minutes in the game, at this point at least, and CGC have really been funneling them into them. There's no other way of putting it. I wouldn't like to say that this is a clean game by World Class, given the amount that CGC just funneled in on that top side around the initial Baron positioning. So much shenanigans have occurred already that this is just absolutely baffling to me that this is the same CGC that we've seen for the past 2 games. Up until that Drake fight that we just saw, despite all of the kills, CGC still had a gold lead. That has now been diminished and is now out of the picture, given the Baron that got traded and all of the kills that they kept continuing to funnel in to World Class. But when all this is said and done, if we look at how many kills ahead World Class are, along with that Baron, they're 4,000 gold to the good, which is by no means an insurmountable lead, especially when you look at CGC's composition, and particularly this Vladimir. We talked about it maybe 5 minutes ago at this point, that I'm Blessed Man picked up a full Rabadons. He's not picked up anything since. These guys haven't been farming. They've been slaughtering one another on cooldown, essentially. And it's all been going in favour of CGC, or of World Class there, and I was terrified that Ratchet was going to take that hook as well.
And it feels like CGC, they can't manage to find their off button, or rather their later button this series. Right now it has been that constant fighting off of what we saw as being like a really, okay, we're just going to farm, we're going to play it safe. They decide it's their time to fight, and they sort of hardball on that decision. There's been no real turnaround, and it's costing them what is an inhibitor turret, and perhaps an inhibitor here, as there's no real answer or way that I see of punishing this. Graves is split pushing in the bot side. Yes, they might find themselves a bot tier 2, but it is at the cost of their inhibitor.
And for once, a little bit of restraint from CGC. They recognise they're not in a position to fight, and they don't fight. I like it. It's something that we should have seen about 10 minutes ago, when they were chasing consistently up on the top side. Opposite has now recalled, but has teleport available, and Filipino Asian Boy does not have that luxury. Pagoda going in.
Oh yeah, he's gonna get chunked though. Has not any real tank items to speak of, and Turtle hasn't even had the chance to do damage yet. Finally flashes away, but the calling being eaten up by the minions means that Ratchet is left all alone. No follow-up to speak of, and I mean, we have the teleport out from opposite. It's not a big space that you want to take. Vladimir on the flank, and Pagoda as well. I think they just want to stop the back so that Graves can do his job. Pagoda tries to cut the minion wave, but doesn't see that there's an electrical hamster next to him, going to be taken down. And now Turtle, he needs to defend the base all on his lonesome. Finally, Filipino Asian Boy is backing, but it might be too little too late. I'm Blessed Man, he flashes in, gets a 4-man Hemo Plague, but I don't think that they have the damage at this point. No follow-up just yet. Filipino Asian Boy, he's finally arrived. Zealand is on his last legs. Smoke Screen will finish him off as he is put deep into the ground, but 2 inhibitors down. Finally, WCG are forced away. CGC in a huge hole this game.
I am so confused by all of the decisions that have been made by CGC this game. I'm intrigued by the prospect of trading 1 inhibitor for 2 and how they're going to try and play it out. Drake is now spawning up in 10 seconds, and importantly, they're going to have a 5v4 advantage of CGC. This is soul point for them as well, which means that an Elder will spawn after this one. Nobody is nearby. This Cloud Drake and Cloud Soul is now all for CGC. They have an advantage in the neutral objective game, but with inhibitors down in their own base, are they going to be able to hold on here? Because they've got an inhibited bot lane, but if you're looking at this from a world-class perspective, it's very easy for them to counter this because they've got 2 inhibitors pushing in other lanes, and that's the important part, that they can just go to the lane with the inhibitor down in their own base, push those minions back, and start focusing on that lane in particular. Macro gameplay, when you've netted 2 inhibitors, becomes very straightforward for these top tier teams, because you only have to go to one lane and let the minions do the work in the other one. And with the amount of engage, the amount of go buttons that they have, with now, opposite has flash available, PJ as well, with the depth charge, with the flash, they can engage if CGC misposition even slightly. And now don't even need the Baron to try and start taking these objectives back and focus their efforts on the bot lane.
Yeah, oh my god, this turret just absolutely falling. Pagoda's not even with his team at the moment, and I wonder if CGC can stall this one out. It seems to be a gamble that they want to take, as Pagoda just now channeling the teleport. It looks like we want to fight here. There is opposite. He goes in, he takes down Turtle before the fight begins, and there, exploding is Pagoda. His split push build not going to be enough. Filipino Asian Boy, he managed to stray back one onto opposite. Can they find more? Ratchet Flay will find nothing, and it is now a 4 versus 3 here. Filipino Asian Boy and I'm Blessed Man, they have got to find a way into this game. But as you mentioned, the super minions in the other lanes are pulling their attention everywhere. Filipino Asian Boy, he takes a huge chunk, and I think we just see a third inhibitor fall here, whereas Osama comfortably taking the turret under absolutely no threat. Third inhibitor going to eventually go down. They could turn their sights onto this Nexus turret here, the final one remaining. Filipino Asian Boy, he's walking out. He has the damage, and he's really the one that we need to look for. And Blessed Man has not been able to find that very same damage this game. Not even sitting on his Leandri's Torment just yet. And it will be CGC holding onto the game for now as WCG, they back out, but the base is in ruins.
Yeah, a little bit of, I don't want to call it hesitance from World Class there, because they would have been overextending, but restraint, and wisely so. You know, recognizing, oh, okay, Osama could be a little bit caught. Ratchet has the mobility boots as well.
Ooh. Not landing that hook is actually massive, because it means that Where's Osama has the chance to get off that arcane shift. Filipino Asian Boy, he wants this kill, and I think he's going to be able to find a collateral damage, just barely not enough. Means that Where is Osama manages to live. Baron is already back up. We have had nothing but non-stop action, and it has bought us those 5 minutes that it needs. 3 minutes on Elder Dragon as well. One of those bingos is Elder Dragon, and I'm pretty excited to maybe see that.
Turtle.
Oh, there goes Turtle. He's absolutely gone. Gonna burn the stopwatch at least to buy himself a few seconds. It means that instead of taking 1 frame for him to go down, it takes 2, but that is not a significant change. Now it's a 4v5 in favor of WCG, and I don't even think that they need the Baron for this one. They're just walking it down the mid lane.
Yeah, World Class here putting it on a pretty good performance here. They're trying to keep themselves in the tournament, keep themselves with a fighting chance of maybe reclaiming or just claiming, first of all, Heavy League Season 1, whereas Osama chunking Pagoda down, forcing the flash out in the bot side. And this is now the base defense for CGC. They're trying to go for the 3-0 this game, but they're in a tremendously difficult position to try and do so. And now we need to look. Leandri's completed. Hook on in.
Slicing Maelstrom going to be doing a lot of work, as well as the Zanya's buying a lot of time. Ratchet still alive. Filipino Asian Boy has the chance to do damage. I'm Blessed Man. He's in the back line. He picks himself up a kill. Might he be able to pick up Osama? Gets himself another 600 gold. Filipino Asian Boy, he is the one that gets initiated on, but I'm Blessed Man. He has so much free time with the Hemo Plague, with the Tides of Blood. He cleans up on WCG, denies them that final push, and turns the game around.
And it's CGC all over. Book, you know, if we'd written a script, this would be how it would go. It's the fact that CGC against all time the team fight, and this is going to be a pick as well.
This pick could be Baron Fish, our friends. He's going down, and I mean, Filipino Asian Boy, he doesn't even look like he wants to be there for that. Dashes over the wall for the final auto, but the pings are all on Baron. This could be Baron going over to CGC against a huge flow of play. It is 37 minutes. Yes, they are down gold. It's not significant, but they are more importantly down 2 inhibitors, and they are taking down the Baron here, burning down to 6,000 health. There is no way that we see WCG contest this at all. Might be a snipe from the Ezreal as we watch it. Not going to be nearly enough to take down even Ratchet. And against the flow of play, I say it once again, CGC grab themselves the Baron.
And you have to be sweating if you are world class this game. You've had 3 inhibitors down. You had every opportunity to go back and take the Baron. You decided you didn't want it. You thought you could end without Baron. You thought you could end just through sheer forcing of these turrets. Now 0 structures remaining in CGC's base. No turrets to speak of. Top lane inhibitor, the only thing that is standing between CGC and, you know, a completely exposed base. With that Baron, it's going to be able to allow CGC a little bit of a buffer, because World Class are going to have to force their way through not just the 5 members of CGC. They have to force themselves through the Baroned up minions as well. And that's going to be really difficult for this squad, because Ezreal doesn't kill minions particularly quickly, nor does Kiana, and especially when they're Baroned up as well, that task becomes even more difficult. We've got 5 seconds on the Elder Drake spawning. 2 inhibitors down for CGC. They've been pushing out the side, the bot lane and mid lane, and now we're going to have to see, can they contest this Elder Drake in the face of World Class?
This is the time. Pagoda, he's walking down opposite. He wants to try and get this, but the teamfight ultimate is already out. Dragon is started on the opposite side of the map. Opposite, he's just buying time right now. Teleport still up for both of them, but Pagoda, he's going to be able to take him down. Revenge for earlier as Turtle and Ratchet, they are fighting their way into this Elder Dragon pit. Filipino Asian boy, he flashes in. There's the teleport coming in, and Filipino Asian boy going to pick himself up another kill. He has huge damage on this Graves. Dylan, no, look at him. He's on the backside. Managed to clean up there. Dashing into the pit. But a double kill for Graves. Make it a triple kill. And the Elder Dragon CGC is on it. And it's going to have to be a miracle from Fish, our friends. He realizes that the Lord is not with him today. Backs right off of there. And he's going to have to channel his own back. An incredible play, macro and otherwise, from CGC. Nets them another epic objective.
And everything now riding on the next 2 or 3 minutes. Can CGC use this Elder Drake to close out? Because against all odds, they've somehow found the team fight and found the neutral objective once again here. Pagoda getting the solo kill on the top side, really going huge with the Mega Nod. This split push build finally comes to fruition, finally able to take down opposite in the top lane. And honestly, that was the key feature of that team fight. There was no Kennen there causing so much disruption in the backline. Yes, Dylan was able to take down Turtle, but nobody could get to I'm Blessed Man, nobody could get to Filipino Asian Boy because they were so stacked and so safe without that Kennen priority, that Kennen threat that has been so dominant this entire game.
And yeah, and even before that, just the fact that he managed to get the ultimate out had massive implications for the team fight. As you mentioned, I really like the point that you bring up. The split push build from CGC's top laner has been a huge question mark for me all game. I'm like, why are you doing this? We said 5 minutes in you needed to go tank. He proves us wrong. The holdout from CGC has bought them enough time that him winning in that 1v1 is probably the most relevant thing that's happened in the past 5 minutes. But the Baron is expired, and that makes this push into the base so much harder.
It does, but the important thing for CGC here, that those neutral objectives were to stall the game. They weren't to win the game for them. They get those neutral objectives, which means that World Class can't end the game. If World Class get the Baron or get any Elder Dragon, they can just roll over and win the game, essentially. Now with an open inhibitor bottom, they don't need the Baron to just walk in and take this. The Elder Drake buff will be enough to generate a slight pressure vacuum down on this bot side. And with the massive wave that's coming down,
yeah, he almost gets the kill there with the Elder Dragon. Looks for it in the end. There it is, the snipe! With the collateral damage is going to be enough. It's a 4v5. I'm Blessed Man. He's running in. Pagoda's right on top of him. And a huge amount of damage from Filipino Asian Boy across the team means a double kill gets picked up for him and for Vladimir. Triple kill for Vladimir. The ace comes in for CGC. They finish off the game in a massive turn of events. They have swung it all the way from the largest deficit we could imagine. And they take game 3. They take the 3-0, the finals here in Heavyweight League.
And you couldn't have asked for a better game 3 to win off of. Staring down 3 inhibitors down, losing the Baron, losing nearly all of their base. CGC come out and still win a game where, to all intensive purposes, they had lost. Without a doubt, the best team in Heavy League.
They had no business being in that game, Rooted. We thought from like 30 minutes onward that it was a matter of time until WCG closed it out, but fighting their way back from the brink of death, CGC, they grabbed the first title, the only first title that there will ever be, and they throw themselves in wholeheartedly, taking down the Nexus in a flurry of blows. That was an absolutely beautiful turn of events, and even the inhibitor in the bottom side that split push managed to be a huge reason why they won the game. It totally threw me for a loop. I cannot wait to see what our analysts have to say about this game, and Paul and Excellency Jake Kelton, that's over to you.
Thank you so much, Dia and Rue, and oh my word, go and rest your voices. That was the most killer casting I've ever seen, and a killer game 3. It's a little bit heartbreaking we didn't get our game 5 hopes alive, but what an incredible finish. And I truly believe, I truly believe that this game 3 perfectly represented the best of both teams that played tonight. It really could have represented it as a single best of one if we just had this game, because both teams went all out in every situation, and CGC just were a little bit better. And it was incredible across the whole board. I'm Jake Kelton, as said, joined by Paul again on the analyst desk. Oh my word, Paul, our brains are melting out of our ears. This is insane.
Yeah, that was wild. And for me, like, as much as it went back and forth, it was like they just haven't put them away. And we just saw the fight coming back time and time again from CGC. I think the score lines are sort of not indicative of how things really went. Like, Turtle was just so instrumental, despite, like, you're seeing that 3-9-16. It's like, but you always had to worry about wherever Turtle was. And like Pagoda at the end, that one-on-one with the Kennen down, 3-10 to win that, and then set up that 4-on-4 in the pit to take Elder. Like, these stats just don't showcase how well they did stalling this game out. You said it perfectly when we were backstage. The idea that the objectives weren't to get the objectives, it was simply to stall out the game. They win those battles, and though the scores aren't going to be pretty afterwards, they're able to get that dub and championship. And holy cow, just I tip my hats to CGC for pulling out something that had me worried for a while. They were some bold choices in the middle there.
Well, and to be fair, huge credit to World Class Galaxy. This team did not go into the night with a whimper. This team did not go out just saying, we're just going to keep rolling back the same thing again and again. This team pulled out all the stops, and so many times this game, it truly felt like they were in control. You and I both were in agreement that we were like, this game is done. This could go to game 4 because we have ourselves 3 inhibitors down. We have what seemed to be unstoppable Kennen. Fallen on this Kennen was blowing people up from the entire beginning of the game. 8-1 was his early game score. It was destroying people. And Pagoda finds the win in the 1v1. Absolute monstrosity credit to both teams for playing it out mad style. Now, we do have an interview coming up here in just a moment, and we want to introduce that person. But before we get to that, we really want to make sure that we cover this game just from neutral casters, having watched and enjoyed an incredible series by both of these incredible teams. Is there anything else that you want to call out for either team before we bring in our interviewee?
For me, I just want to shout out, the World Class Galaxy, and like, congratulations on a great season. Like, this final game was as exciting as it gets, as interesting as it gets. And while CGC came out on top, World Class Galaxy put out an incredible performance. This is certainly, I don't think, the last time we'll be seeing these players in Heavy League or in other parts of the amateur scene for League of Legends. So as much as, it's like a 3-0, they got swept, like, every game they put out such a great fight and gave all of us such exciting matches. So I want to offer my congrats to them, and like my GGs to them, because they played really well and didn't equal dubs, but it was sure of a hell of a good time to watch.
Yeah, it was just absolutely fun, absolutely wonderful. I love the spiciness with DeLun's Kiana. Really not expected at all when it came to their traditional picks and bans, and really put Bless down in that early game. Unfortunately, Vladimir just stacks. Vladimir does Vladimir things. And between the Vladimir and the Graves wave clear late game, basically meant that even though they had triple inhibitors down, that was just gold feeding in to these two carries and allowing them to kind of scale up even further until all they had to do was win that one fight around the Dragon Soul, and that spelled the basically end of the game from there on, and they snowballed it into a victory. Really, really impressive stuff. We're going to go ahead and move. Turtle is going to be our interviewee for today. We've had him on the broadcast before. We'll have him on again. Exciting to have him join us once again, and really a incredible performance, and I think an iconic performance, especially in this game 3, of what we have seen from Turtle throughout the entire season long, which is when you look at his overall KDA standings, he is not the flashiest, most murderous ADC. In fact, most of the times through regular season, he averaged 10 assists and only a handful of kills because he's not a selfish ADC. He works with his team, and this game, 3-9-16 showcases that as well. Welcome, Turtle. Congratulations on your victory in Heavy League. You're the champion. CGC is the champions. You defended your title incredibly well. how does it feel to be the best team Heavy League has?
It's an expectation, to be honest. I mean, we saw and another team just stood a chance. We draft better. All of our players have champion oceans. Like, what was our top winner play for WCG? Just Shen. You can't play anything else. My whole team played so well.
Okay, that confidence is amazing, and I love it. And I think that it was incredibly echoed in these games, especially Game 2, which it just felt like you're just kind of swatting the fly away. Like, get out of here. You know, come back next time with a better draft. Okay, this didn't even phase us. But you're gonna tell me there wasn't a moment in which there was a little bit of sweat in that Game 3 that you were just...
Yeah.
You were just a little like...
Yeah. That was a tough one, but we pulled it out. I think my team played very well in the late game. Early game, not so much, but late game, we had it. I'm very happy for my team. I'm very proud. We put it well in the end. And we closed it out for the 3-0.
That's awesome, and also congrats from me. And what I want to address, Turtle, because like you guys put on an awesome showing today, and as Jake said, you guys are the best team. You guys are the pinnacle. You've won Heavy League. After going through this whole season, for you, what was the thing you learned or going to take away most from this entire season and league experience?
Honestly, I had to learn more champs for this season. With Caitlyn and Ashe being more in meta, and like Kaisa Lucian not being meta, I had to like learn those champs. So I definitely think I improved a lot as a player. My team has gone back together. We're almost back in form, almost there. Some more things to work on, but we've truly improved from week 1 to now. Lots of improvement.
That's fantastic. And it stretched you and grew you as a team, even though you were so dominant and even though you won so many times. Now, I gotta say, I know that you guys have, as a team, have already submitted to be in Heavy League Season 2, so it's incredibly exciting to have you guys coming back. And you do have something to prove, because despite how dominant your season was, and despite how incredible all of your 2-0 victories was, you did lose a single match to Akuma Glaives. So there is one small smudge on that perfect record. Do you think you can pull off the perfect record in Season 2?
No promises, but probably.
No promises, but I like it. I like it so much. Okay, last question that I think that I personally can ask is that as a team, we saw you guys throughout the entire season working so well when it came to team fights. That was kind of your iconic 5v5, and you always had your frontline tanks, and you always had your CC, and you always had your damage dealers that were just so hard to get onto. But one of the things that was incredibly consistent throughout the whole year as well, that kind of went a little bit under the table, was how no matter what the situation was, in almost every game, you kept consistently higher farm, CS, and overall gold than teams that may have even, like we saw in tonight's games, had 10 kills over you. How is it that you guys are so good at being able to simply get gold onto your players?
It's just a player gap, honestly. So, I mean, I think the other teams aren't very good at macro, and like kind of panic, and that's where like, so we've been together for like over a year now, so we're all confident like each other's abilities, and everyone like knows what they need to do in a certain situation. I think that's like huge compared to the other teams. I don't think they have that on us. It's like, if we understand like if they're taking Dragon Bot side, we need to take something else on the top side, so we're not actually like, losing out ever. So I think everyone knows where to go to get gold, trade camps, and so on and so forth.
It seems like we definitely need to have a little bit of leveling up from everyone else on the into the league as a whole to be able to match your guys' level. I know, Paul, that I mentioned that I was going to toss it off to you for the final question, but I do actually have one more question I want to ask, and just came to me, and that is that as a team who has played all the other teams in the entire Heavy League, and you kind of got to sample every other team that played, is there any team or multiple teams that stand out to you that you would want to face off again in Season 2?
The WCG, 100%. Their roster early in the season wasn't very good, but these guys are pretty decent. Not better than us, but they were pretty decent.
Pretty decent. They definitely hard rivaled you. That's for sure. Right? Even though it was a
I mean, we did 3 of them, so not that close, but...
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, and I'll end on this one, Turtle. So you've gotten to the season. You're going to come back with your team next season. What's your favorite part of being with, the team that you have, or like, kind of what are you thankful for with the players that you got to compete with? Because you come in, you're able to have such confidence in yourself and with your teammates. Sort of what are you most thankful for, and what's been the best part of this experience?
I'm very thankful that my team, my whole team, we had all had the same idea of how the game should be played. So it's very easy to go back in VODs and we can all agree on hey, we messed up here, this is what we should have done, for next time we'll fix it. And another thing is that my team lets me do all the draft work, so I'm always happy with the way we play. So I love that. And everyone's able to take criticism and just work on it and improve, so I'm very happy with how humble my teammates are. Especially my top laner, Pagoda. Best player of the season, by the way. 100% best player in the whole league.
Yeah, incredible performance from honestly all of you guys. Pagoda's 1v1 versus Kennen will always go down in my mind as a huge turnaround from how the Kennen performed most of that entire game. So congratulations to Pagoda there as well. Thank you so much, Turtle. Thank you so much for you and your entire team. Your consistency to quality and incredible gameplay throughout the entire season. And I can definitely say we look as Excellency incredibly forward to you guys coming back in Season 2 to be the premier team to beat, and you guys will go down in history forever in Excellency's history as the Season 1 champions. Well deserved.
Thank you. Looking forward
Congrats.
to having some more post-game interviews with you. So, talk to you soon.
All right, and with that, we are coming to the end of our broadcast. But Paul, it has been an unbelievable season, just an incredible season from beginning to end. And to see the teams grow and to stretch and to WGC changing their roster until they found what worked, and showcasing, even though the games went 3-0, that you can still go toe to toe with the very best team in the league with hard work and commitment. And it was just incredible to watch.
What a treat. From top to bottom, the teams to Jesus, Dia and Rude crushing it on the cast today. Monica on the production, everyone in chat. I mean, what an awesome way, what an awesome celebration of what Heavy League brings to the table, what Excellency brings to the table, and honestly, what good League of Legends looks like. This is sort of as good as it gets, and I think the third game kind of spoke for itself of damn, Heavy League's cool, and just think there's a whole another season of this coming up. It just a little bit, like you mentioned, sign up still till Saturday. And so it's going to be fun taking this. And it's well, can we do this again? And I think that answer is absolutely. And things are going to look really good with people like Turtle around.
Yep. Excited to see what comes. Again, thank you so much, Paul, for being on the broadcast. I know you just shouted them out, but I'm going to shout them out again as well because they're just so well
they deserve it.
Zia, Tropa, and Rude Dude absolutely brutally smashing in the most incredible fashion the entire night of broadcast. But it wasn't just tonight. They have been in the Excellency Heavy League since the very beginning. 11 weeks of consistent casting back to back to back to back. Monocle showing up and stretching and pushing and growing as a producer and making the productions just 10 times better as we're reaching the end of the season, with plans on increasing it tenfold in the next season as well. You guys have been incredible. Mitt, yes, absolutely no. I don't think he's awake at the moment, but a huge shout out is still deserved for Mitt as well, casting the entire season. It has been just an unbelievable time here at Excellency, and we want to thank all of our producers, Aaron for setting up the entire event, being our incredible tournament organizer, Fruit for being on as well, as just a person who does a little bit of everything. Fruit's everywhere. She does a little bit of everything. She's incredible. All of you, the viewers that make all of this possible, you guys have been incredible. If you enjoyed this, and if you really want to support what we're doing at Excellency, continuing to make the amateur scene an incredible place for teams and players and broadcasters and casters to come together and make something special, consider dropping a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe for free, or you can subscribe if you want to support yourself. And we do have a Patreon as well that you can subscribe. We have some incredible donators that really help us out. We get Patreon only takes 8% of the cut from any subscriptions that you give, versus Twitch, which takes 50% or more. So it really helps us out if you choose to subscribe on Patreon over Twitch. It doesn't matter either way. Any support is incredible, including just a simple follow. It is wonderful to have you all. Thank you so much for coming out, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks when Heavy League and our brand new Mid League start up once again. Season 2 Heavy is coming right around the corner. You don't want to miss it.